Welcome to True Heel Heat, the place where we use insider terms because we think we know what the fuck we're talking about, even though we don't. My name's Maxwell Jacob Friedman, and I'm better than you, and you know it.
Hello. It is me, your True Hill Phenom, SP3. We are live on the True Hill Heat YouTube and Facebook for our AEW Double or Nothing 2023 Roundtable Review. We're here to discuss the huge show from All Elite Wrestling from last night in Las Vegas, Nevada. And of course, we got an all-star lineup here to discuss the show. First up, we have the ace in the face of the True Hill Heat YouTube channel. You saw him last night on the watch party. It's Mr. Romeo Anthony Colon.
What's up, everybody? What's up, Tempest?
What's good, bro? It's good to see you again.
Good to see you.
We also got the most colorful man in the room. He is the marijuana enthusiast. If you couldn't tell by his tie-dye hippie shirt, it is Ness.
Yeah, I don't think they need any more signs. I think everybody knows what's going on, guys.
And of course, we got the Tru Draw himself, Josh. How are you doing, sir?
I'm doing fine today, I guess.
I love how you have to always add something to be like, put it down just a minute. Don't get too excited. And we got a special guest here with us, someone that was joining us just last year for Double or Nothing 2022. Now he's on a whole different country. He's over in the UK, one of the faces of WrestleTalk and parts fun known. My favorite masked Canadian himself, Tempest. How are you doing, good brother?
I'm doing good, man. Talk about faces, and what better face to have than one that needs to be covered by a mask. I'm very excited to be here. I saw a show. I was up very, very late last night. I did not get to sleep until about 7 a.m. this morning, but I am rested now. I'm ready to talk about it. Let's get to it.
Yes, let's get into it. And of course, we appreciate you all for joining us. If you're joining us live with us right here on the True Hill Heat YouTube channel, remember to show that appreciation back. Drop the thumbs up on this video. Share this video with all your wrestling fans, friends, family on all your favorite social media platforms. If you're new to the True Hill Heat YouTube channel, hit that subscribe button, hit the bell to stay notified for all the great content here. And of course, sound off in the live chat. We love to hear from all of you. We'll try to highlight as many of your comments as possible. But of course, if you're feeling generous, you can give back to the contributors here at True Hill Heat. You can send a super chat donation. We got here in the chat already, Ninja Mortis saying, I wish Jimmy was going to be here for this recap. Jimmy never joins us for pay-per-view recaps because he doesn't watch the pay-per-view until about like 3 a.m. in the morning, so he's probably currently sleeps though, and or probably didn't watch the pay-per-view already. He's a busy man. And we got Dolores here with us in the chat saying good afternoon to you. A rare afternoon roundtable review that we got here. So let's start off how we usually start off these roundtable reviews. Give us your one word overall kind of opinion of last night's show, AEW Double or Nothing. We'll start with Tempest.
Fun.
That is a good one. What about you, Ness?
All right.
Josh?
Meh.
And Romeo?
Fun the last hour.
It's more than one word, but I would say
disappointing then.
I
try
would
to
say
be positive.
Hey, you should have said half fun with a dash. You could have made it one word. I would say mixed it was mixed. It was a mixed bag, for sure. And we got plenty of people happy to see Tempest here with us. Annika in the chat. We got Vala B saying, "Hey, it's Tempest." He's like, "Hey, old friend." There you go. Some love for Tempest in the chat here. We'll start off with the buy-in. Only one match on the buy-in. I will say the best part of the buy-in was Stokely Hathaway. If he's a member of the broadcast team or authority figure, I'm totally down with that. I'm totally down with seeing Stokely talk more. And a new addition is that AEW, for the first time since Fyter Fest 2019, the commentary table was ringside. I thought that was an interesting move by AEW, a new adjustment that they're doing. And the opening buy-in matchup was a 6-man tag team matchup. It was the Hardys teaming with FTW champion Hook to face Ethan Page and the Guns. I mean, the main part about this one was Jeff Hardy, who was selling an apparent knee injury and did purposely, I will say it was on purpose, I would hope, Whisper in the Wind, where he fell off selling the knee, taking a lot of damage there. He was able to get up and later do a swanton bomb onto both Guns. They triple teamed Ethan Page in the end, ending with Hook locking on the Red Rum for the victory. Now Ethan Page's contract will go to Matt Hardy. He has ownership over it. This was a relatively long kickoff match. I don't think it needed to be. It was 15 minutes, 43 seconds. That's a little too long in the tooth for a kickoff match, but it was just fine. Any thoughts on the buy-in matchup, Tempest?
Not particularly. Like, I again would very much like to think that Jeff Hardy taking that fall was intentional and a very good sell job. And if it was, then that was an exceptional sell job, because he had a lot of people fooled in that regard. I very much hope that was what that was, and not just Jeff Hardy, hurting himself, because I want my boy to be all right. But otherwise, yeah, this was a fine opening match. I didn't feel like it was particularly, like, we've seen a lot of big 8 and 10-man tags on buy-ins to open things up with a lot of high spots, dives, and everything to get the crowd pumped. And this didn't really feel like that, but I mean, this is a fine Rampage comedy rivalry. Ethan Page is going to have his contract owned by Matt Hardy. I'm sure that'll have some entertaining moments. And yeah, not a lot to really talk about here, but it was a little bit long for my liking, I must admit.
Yeah, I only gave it 2 stars because it was just too long for the match. I think if it cut 5 minutes, it would have came off a lot better. Any other comment? I don't know if you guys watch it. I know the live stream last night started at about 8. Ness, did you watch the buy-in?
Nah, but from the way you described it, it went exactly how you would think it would go. So,
Josh, Romeo, did y'all watch it?
No.
Yeah, we started early. We started early. We watched it. It was too long, and I'm over the concept of wrestlers owning other wrestlers' contracts. I'm over that.
Yes, easily. I would agree. I'm about done with that, and the fact that this is going to continue, not what I was looking for.
Yeah.
I thought this would be over after the firm deletion, but here we are again. But the buy-in ended with the entrances for the first matchup, which was the international title Blackjack Battle Royale. I will say a couple of people got some big reactions from the crowd, especially Switchblade Jay White coming out with Juice Robinson. Ricky Starks got a big reaction. The Lucha Bros with the mini Lucha Bros got a huge reaction from the crowd. Swerve and Brian Cage also got a good reaction, as well as Keith Lee, Dustin Rhodes, and of course the AEW International Champion Orange Cassidy. And to kick off the show, I thought they were going to go with Adam Cole and Chris Jericho, but I think they made the right choice with this one, because I would say this is arguably one of the best battle royals that AEW has done. At least they have the best battle royal that they've done in a long time. Like I talked about it on the pre-show, that it's been a law of diminishing returns with their battle royals. Some have been really, really bad. Some have been fun. Some have progressed storylines. And I feel like the latter was all of this, where they progressed the storylines. You had Brian Cage going crazy on luchadors. You had Commander with the rope walk dive. That was great. You had Bandito showing off his power, almost gorilla pressing Brian Cage at one point. You had a nice sequence with Swerve Strickland and Keith Lee with the rivalry that will never finish and never conclude going on. You had some nice interaction of characters that we don't usually see interact, like Jay White going face to face with Pentagon. You had Ricky Starks continue his feud with Bullet Club Gold, eliminating both Juice and Jay White. Jay White and Juice attacked him on the outside, which led to Ricky Starks getting eliminated by Big Bill. Big Bill was actually one of the highlights here as he made it to the final 3 in this one. Pentagon was eliminated next, and then Big Bill, and it came down to Orange Cassidy and Swerve, and I thought this was one of the best endings that they've ever done to a battle royal, which was a great preview for a potential one-on-one matchup between Swerve and Orange Cassidy going back and forth. They wrestled to the apron where Swerve went for the Swerve Stomp on the apron to eliminate Orange. Orange was able to get his feet up. He looked like he was going for the Orange Punch, and instead he just kicked his hand away, and Swerve did the most comedic and cartoonish grabbing at the ropes that I ever seen. This was an absolute blast. I enjoyed the hell out of this. I give it 3 3/4 stars. Ness, what did you think about the Blackjack Battle Royale?
Yeah, this was a great opener. I gotta agree, it's definitely one of the best battle royals. I give it 3.5 stars. One spot or one sequence I liked in the match when all the luchadors were teaming up, you guys know I popped for that. I actually want to see that be a thing now, like Commander, Bandito, and the Lucha Bros. If they ever get around to it, let that be a thing. A lot of story progression, especially to Keith Lee and Swerve. Speaking of Swerve, I feel like he should be the one to dethrone. Orange Cassidy. But yeah, because like he's an international mogul, so I feel like he can elevate the title in that regards. But like the whole thing was actually like just so great of a match. Battle Royals, we know they're like clusterfucks, and there's like always so much going on. But I feel like they really took into consideration all the storylines going in it, let everybody getting their shit in. Big Bill, who's usually not showcased in the greatest, he definitely came out of this looking strong. Overall, this was a hot way to get the show started and kick it off. The crowd was into it. Everybody, they delivered. So yeah, 3.5 stars. This was a great way to start the show.
Tempest, what about you? What do you think about the Blackjack Battle Royale?
Yeah, I really, really enjoyed it. I was saying during the live stream last night that I thought it was very funny that this was a blackjack battle royal and not a casino battle royal, for the sole purpose that they didn't have a surprise for the Joker. And that's fair play. You change things up to accommodate your booking. That's totally fine. The only negative that I had to say about this match was I thought it was very funny when halfway through the match, Swerve had yet to get in the ring. And there were just guys fighting on the outside for the majority of the match, it seemed like, before they got eliminated. That I feel like borders on no longer being able to suspend my disbelief about it. But that being said, once you put that aside, I thought that they did a very good job of being able to clear the ring and leave space for guys to do really good spots, highlight both the rivalries that we haven't seen before, like you said, with Jay White and Penta. I think that was a really good example of like, oh yeah, Jay White actually will be fine. He's got a load of exciting matchups that he can get to at some point whenever they move on from Bullet Club and Ricky Starks. But otherwise, I mean, Keith Lee and Swerve was very fun while we got it. And I thought the little mini match they had to close out the Battle Royal was just absolutely fantastic. I am always such a big fan of the final two in a Battle Royal, going for just another 5 minutes and going back and forth and really teasing it up. It's fantastic stuff with a great finish. I couldn't ask for much more out of a pay-per-view opener. And I mean, Orange Cassidy's reign just keeps getting better. So this gets a big thumbs up from me.
Josh, what did you think about the Blackjack Battle Royale?
It was a fun matchup. The right person won. Yeah, I said it because everyone's complaining that he's reaching this Cena level, but I prefer him to win in a match like this than to lose it in a match like this, especially the way they've been building him up. The last sequence, that was my favorite part of the whole battle royal. Both guys worked well together. And even last night, I said like this kind of gives Swerve a chance to be the person to actually win it and win it in a singles match compared to a battle royal. So I was fine with it.
What did you think about the battle royal, Romeo?
Not as in love with it as the rest of you were.
Here we go.
I mean, I wasn't in love with it, to be fair. I'm just saying
Yeah.
it was good.
Can someone explain the logic of Commander? Like, how could he do that? A rope run?
He never got into the ring.
Dumb, just dumb, really dumb. Jay White.
What you asked the question? I answered it.
Yeah, I knew what the answer was, but I was hoping there was like something even better than that, but no. Jay White eliminated way too early. Not even in the final four. Just put him on Collision with the rest of the people you hate, Tony. Just put him there. Orange and Swerve was fun, and that just made me wish it was just that. It was just this the whole time. Orange and Swerve, the match between those two. The finish was A+ though. That was very Orange Cassidy. Like, I like that.
Yeah, he's too lazy to even do the orange puns. We got a super chat donation here from Vala B. Thank you so much for the super chat donation, buddy. He says, mixed bag show. The battle royal was great. Then it was mid until Stat returned. Then a fantastic double main event. Week pay-per-view for AEW by my account. I mean, that's a fair assessment, I would say, of most of what we saw. There was stuff in the middle that I did enjoy, but we'll get into that. Next, we had a recap of the whole Adam Cole, Chris Jericho rivalry, and then we had the unsanctioned match between Adam Cole and Chris Jericho. Adam Cole coming to the ring with Roderick Strong and Sabu, even though Sabu was billed as the special enforcer, but he was just in Adam Cole's corner. He got into a chair joust with Chris Jericho early on. Then he did a splash, quote unquote, off the top rope, where he just fell off the top rope onto 2.0 through a table at ringside. Sabu and Strong brawled with Cole with the rest of the JAS to the back, so it became a one-on-one matchup. The two men worked very slow, a slow kind of plotting kind of brawl. They had the weapons and they were using them like steel chairs. Jericho did a nice little snap suplex off the apron at one point. That was pretty good. They used fire extinguishers for Cole to get out of the walls of Jericho. Then Jericho used it on Cole. Eventually, Jericho pulled out a kendo stick, and this led to Dr. Britt Baker, DMD, coming out and getting some revenge. And did she ever wail on Jericho? Jericho was left with some mean-ass bruises on his body after Britt Baker was done with him with the kendo stick. Eventually, Saraya came down to make the save for Jericho, and she got wailed on a whole broken kendo stick because Britt broke the kendo stick on Jericho's body. Eventually, Jericho got control, and he pulled out a chain. He basically put the cuffs on Adam Cole. Adam Cole got a hold of the other end of the chain with handcuffs and put it on Chris Jericho. So it basically became a chain match at that point. Adam Cole hit quite possibly the worst Panama Sunrise I think I've ever seen from him. And then he wrestled Jericho down. He hit the boom. Then he wrapped the chain around his knee and hit another boom. Instead of going for the pinfall, he started doing hammer fist on Chris Jericho until the referee stopped the matchup. Yes, they stopped the matchup in an unsanctioned match. This one did not get over well. It was the crowd was very, very flat for this one. Did not react. They were not as invested as you would think they would be in a Jericho and Cole matchup. And overall, just the match did not come off well. So that's why I give it 2.5 stars. And I think I'm being generous there, but it just didn't hit like it was supposed to. Romeo, what did you think about the unsanctioned match here?
You're right about the Sabu stuff. It made no sense. I don't even know why it was needed or added, but whatever. The Britt Baker stuff was the best part. Much needed too. She needed to get in there and whoop some ass. Oh, she swung for Soraya's neck. Oh, that was close. That was close. Turned into a chain match, which was weird. The finish was what Cole predicted when they did the contract signing. He said, "I'm going to punch you within an inch of your life," something like that. But it got crickets from the crowd. It didn't play well on the TV or in the arena. I don't mind the concept of that finish, but it's better for a heel. than a babyface. That a heel should win in that fashion. These two, in hindsight, should have had a regular match before ever going into an unsanctioned match. It's booking backwards, but they have little chemistry, and Jericho's streak of putting on these good matches where you don't expect them to kind of ends here. And this is going to continue.
Unfortunately, we'll get to that in a little bit. Yeah, it didn't seem like they had very good chemistry here. Ness, what did you think?
I give it 2.5. To piggyback off of what Romeo said, the streak of good matches that you didn't think that Chris Jericho was going to have, I figured that he's in there with Adam Cole, so this was going to be a great match, and it's unsanctioned. And the total opposite happened. I felt like it was just, this could have been on Dynamite. Maybe may have been a Dynamite. Not saying like that was something I wanted to see after the fact. But I don't know what the hell was going on. It really didn't pick up for me at all. I did like the Britt Baker run in, but other than that, it just was a slower match that I'm used to seeing from both guys, even Jericho. And with his size and age these days, he usually works a little bit better in matches in general. And with this being a gimmick match, you would think that it would have came off a little bit better, but yeah, it just didn't click for me. So I'm definitely giving it too much praise with 2.5, but it's because I'm a huge fan of both of these guys, and I wish it was a little bit better.
Yeah, I wouldn't even relatively say it was like a bad match. It just sometimes an AEW crowd can. Yeah, AEW crowd can elevate a match, and this one they didn't react to anything, so it kind of just put the match down even more. Tempest, what did you think?
I mean, I had a lot of thoughts on this match. This one was really tough. I don't think a lot of things clicked. I think they tried to do a lot of things in this match that just didn't really work as well as they wanted to. Everything felt like it was maybe a step off. And I look at things like, them trying to do the Ricochet super kick mid-moonsault spot. And I mean, Chris Jericho's just not Ricochet, so trying to do that same spot mid-lion salt, it just didn't quite look as right as it would have otherwise. And yeah, the Panama Sunrise didn't quite connect. And this was the same finish that they did in the Jericho Shawn Michaels unsanctioned match in 2008 at Unforgiven. And I fucking hated that finish then. And I hated it again now. Because if you have to make an announcement prior to the match that AEW will not be held responsible for what these two men do to each other, you can't fucking stop the match with a referee stoppage. It doesn't make sense. I'm not a fan. I wasn't a big fan of Sabu's involvement at all, really. I don't think it made sense narratively. It didn't make sense in a just a logistical standpoint, because he was supposed to be a special guest enforcer, and really just Adam Cole had another guy in his corner, and it was Sabu for some reason. And it's not like, he was the highlight of the show by any means. I agree. I think Britt Baker was the highlight of the match, and I think her doing the run-in and teeing off on Chris Jericho was very much needed for this storyline. But we're going again. We're getting a mixed tag on Dynamite that I'm also, unfortunately, not terribly looking forward to, I'd have to say. And this one was just a miss. Sometimes they just don't hit. It felt like this was kind of one of those cursed matches where Adam Cole would wrap the chain around his knee and hit the boom. And if that was just the finish, yeah, maybe it would have been all right. But he really tried to wrap the chain around his fist and then do the punches, but he just couldn't get untangled from the chain. So it just ended with him just delivering regular punches. And it wasn't one of the highlights of the show at all. I didn't think this was a particularly good outing from either man. And I think Adam Cole really could have used one in his first pay-per-view match back, and that's disappointing, but what can you do?
Yeah, it really feels like Cole hasn't had that really great matchup since his return. The match with Garcia was just good. He didn't do too much in the multi-man matchup against JAS, and then this one just came off flat, like you said. Josh, what did you think about Cole versus Jericho?
I didn't like the match at all. It was just too flat. Crowd wasn't into it. I can't really blame him for not being into that match. Sabu's involvement, it is what it is at this point. I think people were more busy trying to cancel him again than than anything. So like I saw a comment about this that I wanted to respond to, because it kind of did the opposite. If they didn't want him involved at all, they would have removed him completely. So that, I mean, his involvement was way more than than anything. So I mean, that's that for that. But for the finish, yeah, I didn't like the finish. I honestly was kind of confused at first, because I was like, what just happened? So that's why there was like no reaction, because I was confused. And then when I saw they stopped the match because of that, I was like, oh, match is over, I guess. Whatever. Yeah, it was disappointing. That's as far as I'll go.
Yeah, just wasn't the match they needed. Especially, do you guys think that now Cole is gonna be the next challenger for MJF? Because that was the talk going into this matchup, that coming out of this, he would probably be the next challenger for MJF for a world title. Or do you think he kind of needs to prove he could still have a great match? Coming off the concussion that kept him out for 9 months, he's only had 3 matches since being back to March. So maybe he needs more under his belt. What do you think, Tempest?
I mean, I'm not particularly concerned about whether or not Adam Cole can have a great match. Like, I'm sure that he can. I'm sure this was just an off night for him. It was mentioned earlier, I don't think that the Adam Cole plunder matches are necessarily like his best work. He's had some really fun matches, like, the Aleister Black match, even though I think that was on a slightly different level than other matches that he's had, whether that be the Gargano match or the Kyle O'Reilly match, which always seemed to go just a little bit too long. And this was another one like that. I think it was just an off day. My bigger issue with it is I don't think I want to see Adam Cole like lose in another pay-per-view match for the AEW title. Like, I know we've seen that already against Hangman Page, and I think that Adam Cole should be AEW World Champion at some point in the future, but I don't think it's now, because this is still MJF's time. I think there's a lot more runway left with this title reign, and if he's going to have another match for the title, he should probably win it. And yeah, maybe he could do some sort of BS finish and have Jericho cost him the match or whatever, but I'm also not the biggest fan of keeping that rivalry going. So
Yeah, I think they should close the book on that. But like you said earlier, Tempest, we did get a promo later on in the night from Chris Jericho and Saraya setting up a mixed tag team matchup against Adam Cole and Britt Baker. Security guard tried to tell them to stop. They were throwing things around. Security got in their face, got in Saraya's face, and then he turned around and Jericho threw a fireball in his face. So he's a wizard again. Yay! He's a wizard.
Jericho,
I like the catchphrase.
Yeah, I always like the fireball. I do admit, but Jericho sold this referee stoppage for 20 minutes. Come on. What are we doing?
And I understand they wanted to probably save the blood for the main event, but I felt like this matchup probably needed some blood in it. To get people, into the whole bitter rivalry. Plus, you only did the one angle that made it a bitter rivalry. It hasn't really was going on before that and didn't escalate to that point either. So, yeah, there was a lot wrong with here, and I agree with Tempest. I was saying that to him before we went live. Like, other than Cole versus Malachi Black at TakeOver Philadelphia, Cole versus Page in the Texas Death Match, I haven't really liked the long plunder brawls from Adam Cole. I didn't like the O'Reilly one. The third match with Gargano was the worst of the bunch. And this one, it's like, it's been a law of diminishing returns, and this one was like the deepest fall from even those.
I liked both of those, all of those, way better than this. Way better. Night and day. And yes, I do agree that Cole needs to be built up, because he's just going to lose to MJF, really. So you might as well just make him as strong as possible so that people can at least buy into it somewhat.
Yeah, and it just seems like such a long time ago after that January promo in LA where I thought he was going to be like the next big babyface for AEW. They just haven't really got him back to that point, it seems. But Next up, they had the AEW World Tag Team Championships up for grabs. It was FTR defending against Team TNA, Jeff Jarrett and Jay Lethal. Good reaction for FTR, as well as our special guest referee, Mark Briscoe. And I will say, Jeff Jarrett, you know what you're going to get with Jeff Jarrett. You're going to get some referee bumps. You're going to get some false finishes. And this one was really worked like a 1980s Jim Crockett Promotions old school wrestling matchup. Like a lot of like what Dax and Cash were doing were old Fantastics kind of double team moves, the do-si-do, the punches, the atomic drops and stuff. Jarrett is great at kind of, even if the crowd is dead like they were for Cole and Jericho, and they made them dead, pun intended, but Jeff Jarrett is able to kind of get them invested and get them into like the latter stages, and that's what they did with this one here, especially when Jarrett misses Dax with the guitar shot and he nails Mark Briscoe. This was after Mark Briscoe had kicked out Sanjay Dutt and Satam Singh from ringside after numerous interference from them. Then Aubrey Edwards tries to come down to replace Mark Briscoe, and Sanjay stops her. She pushes Sanjay out the way, but then Karen Jarrett gets an even bigger reaction than Jeff with hitting Aubrey Edwards with the guitar. Then the crowd yes, she sold it perfectly. The crowd was completely into the latter stages here. Jarrett is able to hit the stroke on Dax. He gets a near fall after Mark comes to, but Jeff is upset for that near fall. He starts slapping Mark Briscoe, who eventually slaps him back, a callback to the last angle on Dynamite, and he turns around right into the Shatter Machine, the big rig. 1, 2, 3. This one went 19 minutes, 47 seconds. FTR getting the win. I thought this was a fun tag team matchup. Like I said, it was very old school in nature, but they were able to get the crowd behind and they woke them up for like the final 5 minutes or so. So that's what they needed to do here. So I gave it 3.25 stars. What did you think about this one, Ness?
I was a little lower on this match. I gave it 2.75 stars. Outside of the guitar spots and the ref bumps, which felt like it was a little bit overbooked, but considering who was in the match and the story behind Mark being the special guest ref, like it was needed. But like outside of that, it was just like a regular tag match to me. Then it wasn't anything special. I'm not saying it was bad, but it just didn't wow me or anything like that for being on the pay-per-view. So yeah, just 2.75 stars.
Josh, what did you think about FTR and Planet Jarrett?
The match was fine. It was pretty entertaining for me. The guitar spots were funny. Mark Briscoe did a better job than Rick Knox has done in AEW, so I was fine with that. Yeah, I mean the match was entertaining. I mean, for what they've built up to with all the skits, which have been hilarious, to what the match was. I thought it was fine. I thought all the guys did their job.
Yeah, I thought it fit in with the storyline perfectly with how they build it up. Tempest, what did you think about FTR versus Team TNA?
So I think I might have a slightly different opinion about this match compared to everyone else, because I actually kind of fucking love this match. I had so much fun with this one. And yeah, I think it may have just been because I was watching this next to Adam on the live stream, and we were absolutely losing our minds for all of the guitar shots and everything. I thought that this was very fun. Like when I said that this show was fun, this was one of the matches that I think really contributed to that. I know that we have been very spoiled over the years with fantastic world tag title matches on these pay-per-views, whether it was, Young Bucks and Eddie Kingston and John Moxley, or the cage match, or the Omega and Page against Young Bucks match, and either of the Jurassic Express tag title defenses, Acclaimed and Swerve in Our Glory. This has always been one of the big highlights of the AEW pay-per-views is the tag title match. And this one, I'm not going to say that it reached that quality because I can't even say that. But I was definitely sports entertained by this match. I thought that was kind of the best that I was going to get with this, and I absolutely was by the end of it. I think that Jeff Jarrett being in a championship match on both AEW pay-per-views in 2023 is hilarious, but I think he earned it with this one. I think this was maybe my favorite match that act has had in AEW so far.
I wouldn't blame you. I like the what was it in Portland with Seattle with the Acclaimed a little bit more, but this one was right up there. Like I said, I had a bunch of fun watching this one. This was one of the better matches, especially in the first half of the show, in my opinion. Romeo?
Yeah, I mean, honestly, Jeff Jarrett, Jeff Jarrett has kind of won me over, like in AEW. Like he's been pretty entertaining. I've been surprised by him, even with his spots, every time where he thinks he's gonna win the match, he takes way too long. And then he always
he goes, yes,
he takes way,
yes.
he takes way. He did the. Remember, he did it against Orange. He did the same exact thing with Orange, and he lost the same way.
It's a fun bit. It needs to keep going. He needs to do that every single time he loses. Yeah, I mean, it got fun when the shenanigans started going on. By the way, Briscoe's referee outfit only more atrocious. Not more atrocious than the ones of HBK past and Mick Foley past, but it was funny. It was funny. The ending made sense. I was fine with everything. I just thought a bit too long though. Let's cut 5 minutes. Let's get it down. Let's get it 15 minutes. Yeah.
Hey, it felt much shorter than Cole and Jericho, and it was about a minute more than Cole and Jericho.
That was 17, yeah. This was about 20, right?
Yeah, this was 1947 was the match time. After the match, though, we got a glimpse of what FTR is going to be doing next as they were interviewing Ricky Starks about the Blackjack Battle Royale when Bullet Club Gold, Jay White, and Juice Robinson jumped Ricky Starks, and then FTR, who were coming back from their match, ran off Bullet Club Gold. So it seems like they are going to get involved with whatever's going on with Ricky Starks here. Do you think that we get maybe someone from New Japan Bullet Club involved in this to kind of make it a 3-on-3 situation? What do y'all think?
That would be nice, or at least somebody for Bullet Club Gold in AEW, so they'll have like another person, because at the moment it's just Jay White. Juice Robinson's there. It's just Jay White. Let's be honest. So like, let's get somebody else credible in there to build these guys up.
Yeah, I would be very disappointed if FTR's match at like Forbidden Door was a 6-man tag with one New Japan guy and also Juice Robinson and Jay White. I could very much see that happening, the same way that they had like, Minoru Suzuki just joining Jericho for their 6-man tag. Now, don't get me wrong, that match was brilliant. I loved that match on last year's show, but I want to see FTR face like a real tag team from New Japan or something on that show. But I could really see them and Ricky Starks going up against Jay White, Juice Robinson, and then whoever you want to say from Bullet Club these days. I don't even know who's in the goddamn group anymore.
Probably David. They're going to cause the controversy and put David Finlay with them, since David Finlay is the one that tried to kick Jay White out of Bullet Club. Try to do something like that. But I really feel like FTR was originally gonna verse Aussie Open. It was kind of they were making it very obvious with the promos Aussie Open were cutting that was kind of the plan. But now with Mark Davis getting injured, I can see that being the option now after they set it up here.
Yeah.
Next, we got in the chat here a bunch of people saying ELP, but he got kicked out. He got kicked out of the Bullet Club, and he's a baby face now. He wouldn't fit in with Juice and Jay White at this point. And Nick Jackson saying, nah, anyone but Finlay. A lot of people seem to be down on Finlay. I will say,
I'm not down on Finlay, man. Finlay's doing great, but no, he'd be a terrible fit with Jay White. Can't.
I just want to see. I'm an agent of chaos. I love to see the chaos
You want the internet to
coexisting.
burn.
Yes, I want to see David Finley in there. Come on. Next, we had someone who also likes to see the world burn, Christian Cage, getting his shot at the TNT Championship in a ladder match against Wardlow. This is, of course, Christian's specialty, and I think that he worked this very smartly because Christian is not going to be taking all the crazy bumps he used to take in the TLC 3 days, but they worked a very smart kind of paced out with escalation of like the bigger spots and making it hard hitting and intense. Wardlow was just there to put his body on the line, and boy, oh boy, did he put his body on the line. Even the parts of his body that I would never put on the line, which is that low blow spot where he went balls first into the ladder, which was ridiculous. On the outside, he launched the ladder at Christian on a plancha. He eventually did this nice little gorilla press spin where he was about to drop Christian on the ladder. Christian just barely missed it. We had a crazy spot where he tried to do basically the usual ricochet or cruiserweight springboard onto the ladder, and the ladder just collapsed underneath him. I was like, you are not the guy to do that, Wardlow. You should have adjusted and realized these ladders are not built for you. He put his body on the line with like a swanton in the ring where Christian moved off the ladder and he hit the ladder completely. Luchasaurus would eventually get involved in this matchup, which led to the toughest man in AEW getting involved, Arn Anderson, who legit bit the finger. Bit the finger and had the Oscar miss all over in his mouth while biting the finger of Luchasaurus. This led to Luchasaurus attempting to chokeslam Arn Anderson through a table at ringside, but Wardlow would intervene. He puts him on the table and he climbs a 20-foot ladder and does a complete Jeff Hardy. This was one of the best spots of the whole entire night. This swanton off the 20-foot ladder through Luchasaurus on the tables. Arn Anderson would get in the ring when Christian was close to retrieving the TNT Championship. He pushed the ladder over perfectly into Wardlow, hitting the powerbomb on Christian. He climbs up the ladder and he retrieves the title. This one went just over 17 minutes. And like I said, I thought this was a smartly laid out ladder match that highlighted that Wardlow is a big guy who does cruiserweight things and put him over in the end. I don't know if anyone's going to be invested into Wardlow's character, but this was a good performance for him. So I gave this one 3.5 stars. Josh, what did you think about the ladder match?
Ladder match was all right. The only spot I didn't like was the broken ladder. It was just common sense of like, bro, the ladder's broken. What are you trying to do?
Yeah,
that was about it. That was kind of like the down part of the match itself. I didn't really expect much from the match, to be honest with you. But he had some good spots. Wardlow, I think he redeemed himself with that swanton because I was scared as shit because I'm like, man, he's really shaking right now. There was a few times where he got on the turnbuckle. I don't know if you guys noticed, but there was a few times where even when he was getting on the turnbuckle, he was shaking. And I'm like, oh, man, and then he's going to try to do that on the ladder. But he pulled it off very well. I know Top Guy had an issue with it because it was on Luchasaurus, but I'm like, the whole aspect is to take Luchasaurus out of the match. So he's not a factor for Christian to win. Like, that was the main thing. That's why I was fine with it personally. Wardlow needed to win the match because honestly, if he would have lost the title again, I think any little hope that anybody has for any investment in Wardlow just would have completely just died. So I was fine with it. I was fine with the win. Match was what it is. It was fine.
Tempest, what did you think?
Well, first, I think that particular criticism of like, oh, it was on Luchasaurus is like really just funny to me. Because, I mean, you look at like, what's the most famous TLC match of all time? It's TLC 2 at WrestleMania 17. Jeff Hardy does an enormous swanton bomb. Who does he do it on? Rhino and Spike Dudley. It makes sense.
That's what I'm saying.
Out of the match. Yeah, I thought that.
Yeah, I think the thing was that in a one-on-one match that he takes out Luchasaurus. Yeah, Christian should be like going for the title and winning the damn match at that point. That's what I think.
Yeah, he did. He did.
Yeah.
He got up. He was selling the beat down, and then he got up. He did that nice little. He tried to do the Vince McMahon WrestleMania 19 spot where he looked over the apron, and he was like, "Oh, okay, all right."
Yeah, I mean, it still happened. I think it just what it was is that it took a little bit longer than maybe than expected, but he did end up doing that. That was like the whole point. But like I said, match was fine. Wardlow needed to win. I thought it did its job. So
yeah, I thought this match again was fun. I thought it was good stuff. I thought the Arn Anderson stuff was a little bit wacky. Like if this match was going to lean into the overbooked territory, I think the blood on the thumb and everything was just a little bit strange. But besides that, I think this match accomplished what it needed to accomplish. It gave Wardlow a much needed just win and everything. And I'm not going to lie, I was hoping that Christian was going to retain the title or win the title rather, because I'm a huge Christian fan. And I thought after you did something like that, you could just then pivot and have Wardlow potentially turn heel or refresh his character or something like that and just get him away from the TNT title, because I don't think it has done terribly well since he's won it the first time. And that's not all on him, because, you know, the Sammy and Scorpio Sky stuff wasn't great either, but the Samoa Joe and Darby Allin stuff I thought was. But regardless, I would have liked to have seen Christian win the match. I'm not heartbroken that he didn't, because I think that Wardlow came out of this match looking very good. And if that just leads to more of a rehab for him, then I think that is very good for the man. I thought that Swanton was absolutely heinous. His poor tailbone going right through the table, right into the ground. I was dying for the man. But all in all, I thought this was another fun addition to the match. Wasn't going to blow my mind like a lot of ladder matches have, but I think this was definitely a welcome addition to the card.
And you need that kind of change of pace, because we see so many ladder matches, especially if you watch all of wrestling, like especially WWE and AEW. They do ladder matches ridiculously, and this was so different from what we usually get. So that's why I enjoyed it as well. Ness, what did you think?
I gave the match 3 stars. It was all right for what it was. I was also rooting for Christian to win. I felt like he could have had a nice run with the TNT title, maybe move Wardlow up the card into the main event scene, especially with everything going on, his history with MJF. We could have possibly, we can get to that sometime. But for what it was good. The Arn Anderson stuff and the biting and the bleeding of the mouth and all that, it was a little extra. I could have done without that, but I don't think it hurt the match either. You know, that was also something else to take out Luchasaurus as well. So it was overall, I think it served its purpose.
Romeo?
Hey, there's 38 of you watching. We only have 27 likes. Can you please hit the thumbs up button? And since I asked nicely, don't leave, because I asked for you to do it. Just thumbs it up.
Oh, we got too many people.
Oh, he told me to do something. I'm out of here. Oh, man. You'd be surprised. The crash and burn on the ladder by Wardlow was a little scary. I thought maybe he got hurt, but no, he was able to overcome that. The Arn, first of all, Arn running was hilarious. And then second of all, the biting. I couldn't stop laughing. I had legit tears coming out of my eyes. I was sports entertained. that was good laughter. It was good laughter. And then Wardlow's athleticism took over. He got some clips for the highlight reel. It wasn't always pretty for Wardlow, but it highlighted Wardlow this match. I just have no faith in it ever leading to anything, because Wardlow always gets the rug pulled out from under him.
I don't know what that's about. I don't know what that last one's about, because that ladder match is good. That's a good ladder match.
I liked Edge versus Christian as well. I agree. Like that was a good one. I think that maybe you need to go back and watch it and realize that it was good. Or maybe you put not by accident.
The ladder. Incredible.
Absolutely. I was actually invested in that feud a lot more than I thought I would be. But yeah. Next up we had a change of pace, I would say, as the AEW Women's World Championship was up for grabs. Jamie Hayter defending against Toni Storm. Toni Storm came out alone. Conspicuous by their absence was Saraya and Ruby Soho, but we soon learned why, because they were jumping Jamie Hayter. They hit her music twice, and then the third, I believe the second or third time, they came out and they were attacking Jamie Hayter to ringside. Basically, it was all about the Outcast interference in this one. They exposed the turnbuckle, similar to the finish back at Full Gear. We got Britt Baker coming out to fight Saraya and bring her to the back, while Ruby Soho was still trying to expose another turnbuckle. At this point, Sheeta came out and started brawling with Ruby Soho. It looked like Jamie Hayter was gonna get the win with the Haterade, but her arm was too hurt and injured for her to capitalize on it. She goes for it again, but Toni Storm is able to push her into the exposed turnbuckle and hit Storm Zero for the win. Toni Storm makes history and becomes the first ever two-time AEW Women's World Champion, and this time it is no interim involved. She wins the championship. This is a nice little boost for the Outcast, but this match was pretty much, it was an angle more than a match. It went less than 3 minutes. It wasn't particularly good, but of course we learned beforehand that Jamie Hayter was legit injured. So this was probably a case of, like I joked about on our Double or Nothing preview, this was Britt Baker backstage being like, you can't be like Thunder Rosa. You got to go out there and do business the right way and give up the title even though you're hurt. But I mean, I'm maybe in the minority here. I'd much rather them had Jamie Hayter just relinquish the title and then do a 4-way or 5-way with all the women that were involved in this anyway, so we had a real match. But that's just me. I don't even have a rating for this one because, like I said, it was more angle than an actual match. Tempest, what did you think?
I think they've established a difficult precedent when it comes to champions being injured and stuff, because how are you going to let Toni Storm be, again, the person who does not beat the champion and instead wins a 4-way or something like that to be like the sort of interim but not interim champion? I think they just wanted, they were, handcuffed with this one. It was unfortunate. I very much was looking forward to this match before we found out that Jamie Hayter has been hurt, and apparently hurt badly enough to not be able to do an actual match here. I'm hoping that if she's able to recover in time, that this just means that she's going to win the title back at Wembley Stadium, because that would be one of the biggest moments on the show, and that would be really cool. But as for this wasn't a match, it was an angle, and it wasn't a particularly good one either. Like, when they were taking off the turnbuckle and the referee was just looking at them, I was like, what the fuck are you doing? They can't do that. What, Paul Turner needs to earn his fucking money, man. Like, what the hell was all that? And then when Jamie Hayter gets pushed into the turnbuckle, she has to correct course and run into it. It wasn't the best night for the women's championship. And it's really tough because, the match that they'd had at Full Gear last year, I think was maybe the best women's match that they've had on pay-per-view. And I was really hoping this would be like a proper sequel to that. And unfortunately, it just really wasn't. So it was what it was. I think they were, again, hamstrung, handcuffed by this, not wanting to just have the champion on the shelf. And they've got it on Toni Storm, who's going to be able to wrestle on TV every week if they want her to. And she did a very good job as champion last time. So I'm fine with the result, but getting there was very clunky.
Certainly. And since Josh has a dog, Prince, our six panel list, we'll give him the close-up. Josh, what did you think about Jamie Hayter and Toni Storm?
Oh, you see, I just wanted to show Ness. See, Prince is still here. Told you, Ness.
What did Prince think about Toni Storm and Jamie Hayter?
I don't know. I think he was sleeping at the time, but I mean, like you said, it was an angle. It was really nothing. I mean, it's unfortunate because Hayter was injured, so it's like you can't really. It's hard to judge anything based off of that. Kind of I am happy for Storm. She's finally getting a legitimate title, not an interim title. So, hopefully it works out for her. And I thought, besides the match, I thought she actually did very well in her press conference. She was playing her character very well in the conference.
So good.
But then also, the only down part I didn't like was that Sheeta and Bray, they took forever to get out there. Hater getting her ass kicked. It felt like for like 5 minutes. I mean, I know it's less than that, but it felt like eternity. And then they finally come out. I was like, what was that about?
And they did the same thing on Rampage, didn't they?
Like,
the same story.
Yeah, I'm like, oh my God, really? The same exact thing. They took for. I was like, oh my God. That's the only thing I didn't really like about that. I mean, again, it is what it is for Hater. Hopefully she gets to recover soon. But then also even her title reign, as much as I wanted it for her to do well, wasn't really that great. Not her fault. It's not her fault. But I just wish it was better.
It was visa issues and injuries that really kind of held back her title reign, because the first half of it with the Sheeta match, I thought the Sheeta match was the best women's match in AEW last year. I thought the Emi Sakura a title eliminator matchup on Rampage was one of the best women's matches on TV this year. And then it was just kind of visa issues, the whole Outcast storyline that kind of handicapped the
kind of
grandstanded of her reign. Yeah.
Kind of felt like they grandstanded her whole title reign, because she felt very secondary after that storyline. She felt very not even a big factor. Like Britt was more of a factor than she was.
Very true. Romeo, what did you think about Hater and Storm 2?
Yeah, this was an angle. It wasn't a match. I'm not going to judge it as a match. But the Outcasts, they look so much smarter than these dumb baby faces. They really do. And it's not looking good for Britt and Sheeta that they're so late to help. They have no idea what's going on to Jamie Hayter, their girl. Sheeta is an ally of them now officially, so I'm lumping her in with Britt. But Britt, it looks even worse. Britt is always by Jamie Hayter's side. Unless this is like setting up purposely that a breakup later on, that's why Britt's not there. It makes no sense.
So the only thing probably better than, I agree with Tempest, what Tempest said earlier. I hope Jamie Hayter is healthy and she can come back and possibly win this championship back in the UK. We need her for
Wembley, yes.
But the only thing better than her winning in the UK would be if Britt finally turns on her in the UK and stops her from having her moment. That would be some good. I'm a true heel. I love a heel moment. That would be nuclear heat for Britt Baker. Ness, what did you think about this one?
Congrats to Tony Storm. That's all I got.
That's fair. That's fair. Next, we had the open house rules matchup as House of Black defended the AEW World Trios Championships against open challenge to anyone, and of course it was the Acclaimed and Daddy Ass. Max Caster probably had one of his better raps in quite some time, as he said that Buddy Matthews was getting cucked by Dominic Mysterio, talking about how nobody says about Malachi Black doing blackface. Said that Brody King,
ironically, he didn't have it on this match. So
exactly.
Somebody else did on this show, though.
Someone else did. We're gonna get to that. But yes, I thought that this was a great reaction for the Acclaim. It still sounded like they were over with the fans here. I just think that maybe they still need to do more adjusting for like the lighting on these open house rules matchups. I think that they, got something here that they can work with to make it different from all the other matches that we see on this show, but it kind of takes away from the crowd heat that we've seen so far in the 3 title defenses that they've had in this style. But this was a fine little matchup. It was just solid. It went 15 and a half minutes, so a lot longer than I thought it did. It eventually leads to Billy Gunn, Daddy Ass, coming in for the hot tag. He runs wild on pretty much everybody cleaning house. He gets a big old Fame-Master on Brody King. He hits one on Buddy Matthews, and then he turns right around to the Black Mass. 1, 2, 3. I thought that finish was great. That was the only part of this that I thought was great because Malachi Black did basically nothing. He just comes in, Black Mass, 1, 2, 3. That's how it should end. And Billy Gunn was there to take the fall. So like I said, it was a solid, nice enough matchup here. I give it 3 stars. What did you think about this one, Ness?
I give it 3 stars. It was entertaining for what it was, especially the intro of the Acclaim and Daddy Ass with them bars, man. I don't know. Malachi Black might have to come back with his own this of his own. I mean, I'm sorry, not Malachi Black. Well, Malachi Black and Buddy Matthews. Yeah, he got to defend himself. He can't just get embarrassed like that.
Can't
I actually
that.
I actually like the idea of the house rules. It's different. We always see like these, the trios matches. At least this is given this a different element as far as trios matches and things like that. But yeah, the match was solid. I enjoyed it. I'll give it a 3 as well.
What did you think?
Let me go next because I want to piggyback off that point with the house rules. Yes, I do like the house rules, but one of the rules is the challengers get to pick their own rule. And these guys don't pick one.
Pick anything.
It clowns the whole concept of the house rules match.
True.
Pick something, Tony. Come on. It's a pay-per-view match too. Pick something. I had the perfect rule too. The perfect stipulation would have went perfectly with this match. The claim should have said you can only make tags by scissoring.
Yeah. Yeah. That would have been fine.
Right up there.
I would have accepted that. Yeah.
It's something. Yeah. This match was way too long. 15 minutes. Get it over in 9. It's a TV match. All-time rap though. All-time rap. Chase told me the crowd was chanting Dominic and Mommy at Buddy. That's funny. I don't know if it came across on TV, but that's funny.
No.
It did not. It did not for me.
I didn't hear it at all. Josh, what did you think about the trios match?
Match was fine. Match was what it is. Best part obviously was the caster rap. Really didn't expect much just because it was an open challenge. But I mean, it was fine. House of Black, they keep on their reign, which I think they've been doing very well at. And like the concept of the house, their rules and stuff. I've been fine with it. I've been really enjoying it. So hopefully they get to continue it.
Like Romeo said, I think the only things they need to fix, well, like I said, is the lighting. They need to find a medium. And then, yes, they do have to put over the dealer's choice because now that's twice. You had the best friends who were just like, oh, no smoky witches. And then the Acclaim who said, oh, we're not even going to use the dealer's choice. So they have to put that part of it over. Tempest?
I really enjoyed this match. I thought it was very fun. I thought Max Caster's rap was an all-timer. He had not just one, not just 2, but 3 really good lines, one after another. Very good stuff. I really enjoy getting to see the Acclaim to get to wrestle guys with different styles and everything. And the 3 guys in the House of Black have very distinct styles from one another. And just getting to see Anthony Bowens in particular get to go in there and wrestle Malachi Black, and getting to see him go up against Buddy Matthews and then go up against Brody King. I found that very entertaining because Anthony Bowens is just so fantastic in the ring. And I said I would not be satisfied with this match unless I got to see Billy Gunn and Brody King square off against one another. And they did, and Billy Gunn waited the entire match just to tag in and eat the pin. So that gets another thumbs up from me. I didn't think that, the Acclaimed had any chance of winning this match. I don't think that they should win this match. I think that the House of Black still has a lot of legs left with this title run of theirs. And if they end up winning the trios titles down the line at some point, that'll be fine. They'll have a really good run with it as well, I'm sure. But I thought this was a really fun pay-per-view match, considering they didn't really have much going for the House of Black going into it other than getting over the open house rules matches. And with that being said, I thought it was really fun. Big thumbs up.
So yeah, this was kind of in the middle, it seems, from all of us involved. Let's see what the chat thinks. We got Annika who says another step. The lights have to be pink. I guess that's a variation that would switch things up. Chaco saying Daddy Ass with the big hot tag pop. Billy Gunn versus Brody King needed more time. That did feel like a big showdown. Even the crowd kind of reacted to that. That was a nice to show that they've been getting over Daddy Ass with these hot tags in the Acclaim six mans. We also got Safed who agrees with Tempest. Caster Rap was the best. Yes, he doesn't always hit, but when he hits, it's a good one. And the Dominic reference was top notch, I will say.
I like this comment here. Ninja Mortis, what rule would each of you pick? Mine is you can't tag in who you tagged in. I would go with Julia Hart on a pole. Me personally. And whatever she wants to do to that pole, she could do. Whatever.
Oh my god. We're going R-rated here, ladies and gentlemen. But
Sorry.
I don't know how Lee Johnson would feel about that one. That's a whole nother subject right there. But
we can put him in the House of Black. That way the House of Black can have some meaning.
Hey, Max has to say, "How you the House of Black with no black people?" But next we had the TBS Championship matchup. Talia Valkyrie challenging TBS champion 59-0 Jade Cargill. I don't know about y'all. I absolutely loved Jade Cargill's entrance only because my sister is a part of the AKA. So I immediately was able to talk about wrestling with my older sister who never sells for any of the stuff wrestling wise. I showed her this. She absolutely popped. I showed her the entrance. She was like, oh my God, I got to find out if I can get in contact with her. So now she wants to be friends with Jade Cargill. So that popped me. And this, I will say, Jade Cargill working with Talia Valkyrie. The first matchup, we had her, picking up the speed a little bit, selling a little bit more. She pulled out a Canadian Destroyer. In this one, she does a springboard at one point. She's doing she's selling, taking the sliding German suplex. I feel like with Talia, she's been willing to do a little bit more than what we're used to. And boy, oh boy, did the crowd get into this one on the road to Valhalla, because the whole storyline has been about their two shared finishers. And when Talia hit the road to Valhalla on Jade, and Jade kicked out at like 2.99, that's the greatest kick out I think I've seen from Jade Cargill, because she had the fans grip there. They really thought it was over. They really thought the streak was over there. Jade was able to cut off Taya, and then she hits Jaded herself. 1, 2, 3. The crowd didn't even really feel like that was going to be the finisher. I think they thought that Taya was going to kick out of hers, like Jade kicked out of the road to Valhalla. But Jade Cargill picks up the victory, going 60-0. Like I said, I thought this was a solid enough matchup. I gave it 2 3/4 stars, but it was more about the post match as Smart Mark Sterling gets on the mic, doing similar to what he did a couple of weeks back on Rampage, where he says that Jade Cargill is so good that she's willing to face anyone right now, but there's no one left. There's no one left for her. She's wiped through the whole division, and this brings out the returning Chris Statlander after about 9 months on the shelf. She returns here. She comes out, and it's immediately another TBS championship matchup. Jade goes for the pump kick. She misses, and then Statlander looks like she's going for like a jackhammer, but Jade is able to get out. She hits the pump kick. She goes for Jaded, but Statlander is able to reverse it into Sunday Night Fever. 1, 2, 3 in 46 seconds. Chris Statlander is the new TBS champion and ends the 60-0 undefeated streak of Jade Cargill. This moment popped the crowd big in Las Vegas. This was like the first time they really woke up and sounded like an AEW crowd. This was the type of surprise and moment probably this show needed at this point. And Chris Statlander defeats Jade Cargill to become the new TBS champion. I'll save my thoughts on this one because I know Romeo, he's been cranky ever since this happened. Go ahead, Romeo. Let it out. Let the people know why you're upset.
I'm going to start positive. Jade's entrance was fire. The match was pretty good. I would have had it go longer than what came after. You were right. Jade's kick out was superb. She didn't look at the ref's arms like some amateur, like some of these professional wrestlers do. She closed her eyes and listened to the cadence. It's really not that hard. Now, this dumb booking, this zero patience by Tony Khan, pre-ejaculation, blowing your load way too early. For what? For what? You had something special here. You had 60-0 down the drain. You didn't even get to 100. It's so close.
It could not get to 100. It was already stale. That's 60-0. What are you talking about?
I thought you were gonna let me go. Let me talk.
I'm gonna let you go because I got the ultimate comeback for you. So go ahead.
Yeah, this guy came way too early. I love Chris Statlander. I'm happy for her. But let's have an honest conversation with ourselves. This may be uncomfortable. She is injury prone. This is like Asuka's streak being ended by Tegan Knox. This is like the Undertaker streak being ended by Kevin Nash. Shit, we already seen a streak ended by Kevin Nash, and that was dumb too. Also, unadvertised? Ugh. Also, it wasn't even a long, grueling match. It was competitive, yes, but it wasn't even 10 minutes. Then she gets beat in less than a minute. Again, I'm happy for Statlander. It's not her fault, this booking. It's a moment for her. But could have been so much more. With a little patience. That's all.
And where was this energy when Charlotte Flair did the exact same booking in December? And you were all happy. You were all, yes, she did the exact same booking. She
Where's
came
the
out
undefeated
in
streak?
an unplanned matchup and came out and won the championship in the same fashion that Chris Statlander won.
What are they protecting there?
It's just the undefeated streak.
60-0.
You
Ronda
needed
Rousey
the
wasn't
shock
60-0.
value. You needed the shock value.
Yes, you build, you keep building. You don't blow your load early.
No, you don't build to it when it's already stale. When it's already stale, you just get it done.
No.
Ness, go ahead.
I give this match 3 stars. I really enjoyed it, especially from the entrance and from off the rip. Taya's entrance was good as well, but Jade, that was just fire. Yeah, it was really fire. The match itself was better than what I was expecting out of them. Their first match, I was not a fan of it. Little clunky. It just didn't click with me the first match, but this one they both improved. Seen a little bit more out of Jade, especially with the springboard, because I was watching that match in particular with my son. He was like, oh, she's jumping and stuff. Like, I guess because he could see like how her stature and how big she is that he didn't expect that. He's like, yeah, she's really strong. And then when she's doing things like that, it just put it in a different perspective that we already know she's extremely athletic, but for like a little kid who doesn't really used to seeing this type of stuff, it really added more to the match. Also, I expected her Taya to kick out of the Jay's finisher, Jaded. She didn't, but that's the story. I guess they're going for. Ty, they both had the same move, but Jade is just a level above Taya, and that's in that regard. So it made sense for it to work like that. Now, the second part of this match with dumbass Mark Sterling, because I'm just going to spoil it. That's my LVP. He fucked up. Really bad. You fucked up really bad.
That's the story. It's Mark Sterling's hubris was too much. That's the reason why Jay lost.
He did too much. I'm not upset at the fact she hit 60. It was going too much for me. 100. I'm sorry, Romeo. I love you, bro. You're crazy. I definitely did not want to see 40 more matches.
Another guy with the pre-ejaculation. Look at this. Not surprised.
Hey, that works. But I will say this. I agree with you in the regards that I don't think it should have been Chris Statlander. I like Chris Statlander, big fan, but she is somewhat injury prone. Not like I can't. you know, I don't want to throw her under the bus in that regard, but like we know she is, you know. So, you know, I hope that going forward she'll be fine, and you know, we don't have to really have to harp on this and, you know, have this conversation in the future. But like, would all this mean anything if, you know, God forbid, month or two or whatever, you know, I'm not saying that I want it to happen, if she does end up getting injured again, and then like now we have all this and it would be for nothing, you know. Great moment on a pay-per-view, but again, I guess we'll get there. We'll see when we get there. But also another reason why I'm glad that it happened and Jade doesn't have the title now, she can go do something else. Like, as great as she's been doing, as much as she's been, you know, progressing, I feel like she can progress more. Let her go do a tour somewhere. Let her go to Japan. Let her go somewhere, get more training in. Keep her off of television or just use her sparingly. Let her work on her. Let her hone her craft. So when she comes back, because you know where she's going. She's going for the main. She's definitely, there's no doubt in my mind they're going to start putting her in the AEW Women's you know, title picture now. Like that's, she can't have the, you know, secondary title for all this time and not go for the main title. So but before we do that, let's just hone the craft a little bit more. So overall 3 stars. I think it was good decision making as far as everything from the first match to the second match and the post shenanigans, everything that happened. And I gotta give everybody their props. Everybody did well. I think it worked out. Everybody did well except for dumbass Mark Sterling. So yeah, it all worked out.
Can I say something quickly about the Jade streak being stale discourse? It's because of Tony Khan, his booking. He puts Jade in her own little universe where she can't interact with everybody that's on the women's roster. He's done that to himself.
I'm not putting that on her, but it's the fact that it's her, you know, like it's involving her. It's not her fault, but it's just like, all right, we get it, Tony. I already say he's a dumbass for a multitude of things. So let's give her some time now. Let's give her some time to build her up and let her do something else.
Yeah, no one's saying that this was Jade's fault. Of course, it's always the booker's fault if an undefeated streak goes stale, but it was stale. It was time to end it here. That's why I think a lot of people are fine with it. What about you,
Tony handicaps himself by putting Jade in this box.
What did you think? He's going to keep dragging this. Jade, what did you think about Jade?
No, you're saying it's stale. Well, you explain why it's stale.
It is
Tony Khan. We've
already explained.
Yeah.
We've already explained. It went on too long,
and
she's not going against the people that we want to see her against. She had to lose the title, lose the streak to go ahead. We've explained it.
That's
for
where you're
weeks
wrong.
And months.
That's where you're wrong. She doesn't need to lose the title. She needs to play with others. That's where she.
But that's the thing. The others are in the AEW Women's title picture.
Exactly.
Yeah, so, looking like morons over there.
Well, yeah, we see how that worked out.
This woman's terrible all over the place.
Tempest, what do you think about Jade and Taya and Statlander's return?
I really enjoyed Jade's match with Taya. I think it was maybe the best match she's had on pay-per-view. I know she's had some really good matches in the past with various other people as well, but I really enjoyed this one. I think they had really good chemistry this time. I again wasn't a big fan of their first matchup a few weeks ago, but this one actually really hit. Good moves back and forth. The springboard stuff was really kind of surprising and very, very nice. And I mean, it all came down to the finisher, which is basically what we thought it was going to, given the story. And on this night, Jade was just better at hitting that move than Taya Valkyrie. And I thought that this match could have gone on a little bit longer. Maybe you have Taya kick out of that one, and then you go and you hit it again 2 minutes later, and that pops them even bigger. I think that would have been fine. But I mean, the big talking point here, you know, obviously is what happened after the match as well. I think that it may have come down to AEW not having any other like surprises lined up for this pay-per-view. Like whether you think that every one of their shows needs to be reliant on a surprise debut or some crazy something like that. What this show was lacking was that kind of moment, and this was the closest that we got to it in that regards. Like, well, obviously we have Takeshita's heel turn later in the show, but in terms of a return that someone we haven't seen in months and months and months, this is all that we got. And maybe they felt the need to pay that off in a really, really big way all in one go. But I'm kind of caught in between. I don't know that I would have had this booked on this night just like this. Like, maybe I would have just had them have a title match, not this week on Dynamite, but the following week on Dynamite. Like, give them both give Chris Statlander one promo to say, like, I was gonna beat you last year and then I got hurt and now I'm back and it's time to end this streak once and for all or something. And then they do the match the following week and Chris Statlander wins. I'm not surprised whatsoever that Chris Statlander is the one that beat Jade Cargill. I thought that might have happened last year before she got hurt. And now to see it happen, like, I'm really happy for Chris Statlander. Like, I don't think you can necessarily book people with the thought that they are injury prone and that means we can never do anything on a top level with them again. Like, if it happens, then yeah, that's really unfortunate and you hope that it doesn't. But, like, you know, it's the same sort of thing in sports. Like, you still got to give the guy the ball even if he's had a few injuries and everything. Like, if he's one of your top stars and if Chris Statlander is going to be one of your top stars, you got to commit to that while you can. And I think this just kind of goes to show that they have a lot behind Chris Statlander right now. And hopefully it does mean that Jade can move on. And after a run like this, move on to a completely new set of opponents and rivalries that she can have rather than just this one storyline that she hasn't really had any rivalries with in a long time besides, like, the former baddies and, you know, Nyla Rose stealing the belt and stuff.
Which was the best thing before this Taya feud. Was the Nyla Rose stealing the belt and being hilarious was the best feud Jade had. Josh, what did you think about Taya and Jade and Chris Statlander returning to win?
The match was fine. The match was good for what it was. I really didn't. I know everyone was saying that Taya should be the one to beat Jade, but I really never got that sense. I mean, it was a better build-up than Athena and Jade, I'll tell you that much. But wasn't I really didn't get that sense. But for Statlander to come back last night, I mean, I was happy to see it. As for the booking of her winning last night, surprised the shit out of me. But I think in a sense, it kind of still keeps Jade strong because she did lose after she just had a match in that aspect. So I get it. What I personally have done that last night, probably not, but I get it. And I do agree that she was going to, you know, they were building her up for her to be the one to end the streak either way. So it was not like you did it last night or it makes you book it in a month from now. I don't think it makes that much of a difference, in my opinion, because either way, I think they had her set to win it. And I do agree with the fact about, like, somebody being injury prone, about, like, staying. I don't necessarily agree with that aspect of her being injury prone, because before the two knee injuries, she didn't really have a significant injury before this. She was very active. She's very active on the indie scene. So unfortunately, I mean, injuries do happen. Unfortunately, she injured both knees. So I don't think it's something that you go away from. You know, other companies, they have different, you know, unfortunately, we've seen it with WWE. When somebody's constantly injury prone, they stay away from them. That's why somebody like Dolph Ziggler, they stayed away from Dolph Ziggler because he had the concussion history. So that's why basically they stopped pushing him the way that they did. I don't know. But I mean, I'm very indifferent about it. I mean, it's like I'm happy for Statlander, but I'm like, would I have done it last night? Probably not. But also with Jade's streak, I do agree that it has been stale. But also the problem with Jade is not so much her, is that they did this dominant streak while she's still learning wrestling. Like, she's still learning on the go. So it's like it was already handcuffed based off of that, because she's still learning. She's still getting, you know, her reps in when it comes to wrestling compared to other people in the business. So it was handcuffed no matter what. But you know, hopefully Statlander, she can stay healthy and then she can have a good run.
We got Dolores in the chat with a good question here with SRS report. Do you think when Jade comes back, she will be a face? Yes, SRS kind of put out a report immediately after Jade losing to Chris Statlander, talking about that Jade Cargill is apparently going to be taking some time off, and if not immediately before returning to the ring, she'll come back with a personality shift down the road. So do you think that she's going to come back as a face, or what do you think the personality shift of that report means, Romeo?
I think the personality shift is her requesting her release.
Oh my God.
Personality shift is.
Jesus Christ. This guy woke up on the wrong side of the bed. He's still trying to keep the same energy he did last night because no one agreed.
She needs to come back and beat Statlander's ass. It'd be dumb for her to come back as a face.
I would like if the Outcasts have had like a dominant run and now they have the AEW World Champion, the AEW Women's World Championship. Say they add a returning Serena Deeb or add Athena to their ranks, and then they do the female blood and guts that this all been leading to, and Jade Cargill is like the 5th member or something. I think that would be like a good way to kind of bring her back, and then also put her into the fold with the top half of the women's division.
Yeah,
sure. I don't know. You're just supposed to forget about what happened last night.
When she comes back, or if she does a face turn, you just got to drop like the whole baddie gimmick. The whole, even though I wouldn't want to see it to go, like the baddie's got to go.
Come on, Ness. What are you doing, Ness? Come on.
You can be a good baddie, but not in the sense of the way that we're talking right now. But yeah, I just hope for the time off. She takes some time off and doing whatever she wants to do, and then it comes back and whatever they try to do with her, it just clicks. I'm actually surprised how much the crowd was into their match, the tie-in and Jade match. I was actually surprised at that, from the entrances to the actual match itself. So kudos.
I think the entrances had more to do with that. I definitely think so, and I just think that the only thing, like Ness was saying earlier, only thing she has to do to acknowledge what happened here is beat Mark Sterling's ass, because it's Mark Sterling's fault. It's not Chris Statlander caught her slipping after a matchup. That's all fine and dandy. It's Mark Sterling that put her in that position, and you're supposed to be my publicist. So get the hell up out of here. But next, we had the first half of the double main event. Keep those comments coming in the live chat. We got 47 of y'all watching. Remember to drop the thumbs up on this video. And of course, if you're feeling generous, a super chat donation as we talk about the AEW World Championship. And this is another one where we got to talk about the entrances, because Sammy Guevara decided to bring back the cue cards. And with his cue card, he shared some big news that him and Ty Mello are having a baby. Congratulations to Ty and Sammy, regardless of what you think about them. I still don't like you, Sammy. I'm sorry. But your baby's going to be good.
The baby's a better baby face than you.
Darby had a nice little video with him beating up an MJF stand in front of Elvis at a chapel, and then disposing of the body with Elvis. And then he came out with some Darby themed Elvis gear, and then of course MJF came out as the devil, coming up as he was like Shawn Michaels, but he came from heaven, even though he's the devil, which was great, and came down in his chair. And then he pulled out an Undertaker entrance from WrestleMania, I believe it was 29, because I was there, with all the souls grabbing at him. It was all the ladies in MJF trying to grab at him. Jesus, trying to grab that MJF.
MJF would call them that too.
But this matchup here,
wait, no, it's on Jungle Boy's entrance.
No, I don't even remember it. This one right here, though, let me just talk about this match, because this match had layers to it upon layers to it. First, you had the three baby faces attacking MJF as MJF tried to stall for time and got out the ring, and then they all started beating down on him, but this led to them going at it. Nice little sequence where they all went for drop kicks, Jungle Boy, Darby, and Sammy, and all did kip-ups, but they kept trying to beat up MJF at every turn. Then we got Sammy Guevara kind of getting highlighted as he went crazy with some dives to the outside. Darby, his whole story of this matchup is he really wanted to beat MJF with the headlock takeover. He's like, I'm still bitter of what happened at Full Gear 2021, and this would not be the first time or last time that he went for the headlock takeover on MJF. Then we had them paying tribute and taking a page out of their mentors' playbooks as Darby hit the Scorpion Death Drop on MJF. Then Sammy followed with the Code Breaker on Darby. Jungle Boy hit the kill switch on Sammy, and then MJF, to a huge reaction from this crowd, hit Crossroads on Jungle Boy. We just got back and forth action. After this sequence, MJF gets on the house mic and he says, "Sammy, I just saw you're having a baby. Buddy, just lay down and you can have the money. Think about the baby, man. Think about the baby." So Sammy agrees and he rolls him up. We get a sequence of everybody kind of going for near falls and roll-ups. We get MJF getting the salt of the earth on Sammy. Then Guevara reverses that into a Walls of Jericho, while Darby Allin gets the Scorpion Death Drop, the Scorpion Death Lock on Jungle Boy. We get Jungle Boy telling MJF to not be a pussy and tap out, and pulls him out of the submission. We get a four-way centipede freaking submission spot, which was great. We got MJF. I love how they did like multi-man Tower of Dooms, but all their Tower of Dooms was just someone falling on another person. Like the inventive and intricate ways they did these four-way sequences were just amazing to watch. You get a great Spanish Fly on the outside by Sammy taking out both MJF and Jungle Boy on the outside. Darby took a hellacious bump, clotheslining Jungle Boy and MJF over the guardrail. You get MJF to being cocky, thinking that he's got the advantage, and then all three baby faces once again do their offense on him. Finally, it came down to a great sequence where Sammy goes for the GTH. He hits it on Jungle Boy. He goes to the top rope trying to look for the shooting star press, but Darby pushes him off the top rope where he hits his head on the guardrail. Then Darby goes to the top rope for the coffin drop, but MJF is able to sneak back in. He puts the world title on top of Jungle Boy, so when Darby hits the coffin drop, he knocks himself out, and then he pulls out the headlock takeover on Darby Allin, and once again pins him 1, 2, 3. This one got a bunch of time. It went 28 minutes, and this might quite possibly be, I know MJF has said this, and it usually sounds like hyperbole, it might just be the best worked four-way that I've ever seen. Just how inventive, how innovative they were with these four-way sequences. This was amazing to watch, an incredible match, one of the best AEW matches of the year. I'm only because the build-up wasn't there. I'm not gonna go full boat. I'll go 4 3/4 stars, but I don't blame anyone who gives this 5 stars because this was truly incredible. Tempest, what did you think about the Four Pillars match?
I fucking loved this match. I loved everything about this match. I thought this was fantastic, and I've been thinking about it the last 24, well, not 24 hours, but 12 hours or so. I can't think of a four-way match that I've watched that I have liked more than this one. There have been a lot of really good ones, like the four-way junior match at Wrestle Kingdom 12 comes to mind. Cena, Orton, Michaels, and Edge at Backlash 07 was great. The SummerSlam main event in 2017, just some of the ones that come to mind. But this was just on another level, and kind of the one that you thought was going to be fantastic on this show, but I didn't know just how great it was going to be. I thought it was going to be MJF walking away with the title after a great work rate match, but there was a lot of really great drama beats in it as well, whether it was like the dramatic interlude that they took with Sammy Guevara and MJF and the lay down for your kid and all that stuff. That I thought was great. I thought the finish could not have been better. I love this recurring beat that MJF has of him beating Darby Allin with the headlock takeover. Like, I thought that was a great finish when they did it at Full Gear the first time. And now that they've done it again, and it's like, it's going to be MJF's personal dig at Darby Allin every chance he can needle him with it. I think that this is a 5-star match for me. There's so many moves that you could go through that were hit with such precision, that were so crisp and clean, whether it's Sammy hitting the cutter on Darby Allin mid-suicide dive, or just everybody being in the perfect place to catch them on the Spanish fly to the floor. This was an expertly worked match. The only thing, and I wouldn't even call it a negative necessarily, I think it just goes to show that, you know, maybe AEW fans are a bit more cynical, or maybe they're just more tired of Jungle Boy than other people were at the time. But, you know, I was getting the big Sami Zayn Revolution vibes when he was thinking about using the title to hit him. And of course, everybody was saying, no, don't do it, Sammy. Don't do it. Don't compromise your morals. And then meanwhile, this one, they're all like, nah, do it. Cheat.
They booed him when he put down the title.
When he put it down. Yeah. I thought that bit was so funny, but otherwise, I think this was one of the best AEW matches of the year.
100% agree with you. And yeah, it really feels like with this finish that they're really building to Darby winning the AEW World Championship with the headlock takeover. Because now this is twice. And that was his whole kind of story throughout this matchup. And I didn't even mention the Jungle Boy kind of, I really feel like he should have turned heel even after the match. I was like, he should attack Darby after the match and really turn heel. Romeo, what did you think about the Four Pillars match?
Yeah, finally. This is what I wanted. This is everything I expected. I wanted this match so bad. SP3 knows. The feud and build up didn't justify me wanting this match so bad, but this right here, what we saw last night, that justified putting this match together. Everything you said describing the match is just true. The Jack Perry heel turn discourse, I know a lot of people want it. I don't know why. He can't talk. He turns heel, but he can't talk.
Anna Jay's gonna talk for him. Don't worry. Hollywood Jack Perry. He's got a girl. All he needs to say is, "My girlfriend's got a fat ass and a bad attitude," and then he gives it to her to finish off the promo.
It might start giving out Dominic mommy vibes, but yeah, the finish was well done. I did like Darby, trying so hard to win with the headlock takeover, and he got again. And yeah, they're telling us a long-term story with MJF and Darby. You got to think, they're going to keep this MJF title run going. And when it gets close to 2024, they're going to start talking about the clock and he's on his way out. And Darby's going to kind of be like the last ditch, last effort, last guy, last hope of AEW to keep the title home. Even though I think MJF probably going to stay. It doesn't matter anyways. But yeah, 5 stars for me. 5-star match here.
Ness, what did you think?
I was gonna go with 4 3/4, but I think I'm gonna just go to full boat, give it 5.
Yeah, you know what? I'm gonna say the same thing. Like, yeah. I was like fighting against it, but I'm sorry. They at least tried to tell a story. And so it's not the same reasoning that I didn't give 5 stars to Charlotte and Rhea because the buildup was non-existent. They just told the wrong story. But man, this matchup, yeah, it's 5 stars. I agree.
It was so many. Just say so many layers of everything. First of all, congratulations to Sammy and Ty Mello. Welcoming their baby. I feel like that even with that added to the match with the whole thing with MJF saying, "Hey, look, you about to have a kid, just I got money for you. Just lay down and I got you. I'll take care of you, And said I knew that he wasn't going to go for it, but like just seeing him being conflicted, he's like, shit, diapers ain't cheap. Yeah, you know what? Let me.
You related to that. We both related to that.
So that was great. Also, the discourse between Jungle Boy and Darby, because again, they're still on that whole. Even though it's every man for himself, it kind of came off like, I can't even trust you type of thing. Which again, you don't need to trust me because we're both out here for the same thing. But I like that little aspect of the match, but man, this match has so many wild spots. What the one thing that the sequence that I really loved, and I'm so glad, I appreciate they added it, was the the ode to all their mentors, whether they're still around, if they're baby faces and they're heel, and the guys are heel and their mentors are baby face now. I really appreciated those sequences of them, everybody doing their mentors moves, and then like the 4-way of the submissions, all that. I have nothing negative to say about this match. It's all positive. I got exactly what I wanted out of this match. It clicked on everything. So going forward, much respect to all these guys. I want to see where they go from here. But yeah, this hit everything. This is clicking on all cylinders for me.
Yeah, and that's why, like, with the story going in, at least they paid off on all the different stories of Jungle Boy trying to embrace the dark side, or should he, but saying, I want to look at myself in the mirror, the headlock takeover stuff with Darby, Sammy becoming a babyface and the crowd reacting to it. So they paid off on all the different stories that they had going in here perfectly. Josh, what did you think?
Oh, the match was great. That's pretty much what I expected. I know a lot of people weren't too big on the build-up. Honestly, I was fine with the build-up just because within the feud with all 4 guys, 3 of them can't talk. So it's like, what can you really expect from when it comes to promos or whatever the case may be? I was fine with it for the most part. I don't think it was as much you could really do, especially when you kind of know the outcome of MJF was probably going to win either way. So I was fine with the build-up. That's just me personally. The match was great. I thought everybody worked well together. MJF worked a lot and early in the match, which I was a little surprised with because I thought he would be one of those guys kind of wait and then he'll pick up, kind of like what Roman Reigns does. But he was working the whole match. He was working, so it was nice to see that. Yeah, it was nice to see.
He don't wrestle too often, but he takes a whole bunch of bumps.
Yeah, exactly. So that's why I was like, oh shit, like he's working. And then even the finish itself with the headlight takeover, I'm like, when I saw that again, I was like, oh my god, again. Like during the last night, I was like, yo, that's just too funny. I was like, that should be like an ongoing thing. Like same shit that we were talking about with Jeff Jarrett, that should be like the thing going on MJF between MJF and Darby. But besides that, I mean, the match was great. MJF continues his title reign, which I've been fine with, regardless of, hey, he doesn't wrestle every week, don't necessarily need to, but that's what makes it kind of special because it kind of gives it like that prize of that fight, that prize fighting feel of a championship, which I think they've done very well with when it comes to the AEW championship. And then also, it still keeps you guessing on what's going to happen with MJF when it comes to his contract. If it's either going to expire or if he already signed a new deal, they just haven't said nothing about it.
And that's what I think is the case. And I know a bunch of people have said the same thing, but I think that is the case. Good question here from who is it? MCAS, who says, who from New Japan does MJF wrestle, and is Adam Cole next after Forbidden Door 2? We should mention that MJF did say that New Japan is like an indie fed to him, and he doesn't think that anyone deserves a shot at his title from New Japan. But Tempest, it's in
he did
your
like one
home
guy.
Country. Oh yeah,
like
Great O'Khan. Great O'Khan. He was like, that guy pops me. I like him. But yeah, it's in your home country of Canada. Who do you think gets the shot from New Japan against MJF?
It's tough, right? Because I think a lot that goes into these kind of cross-promotional events is who does the home promotion allow to lose in these kind of matches? Because if I was just having it my way, have him face Okada or something like that, put on the biggest and best match possible for the AEW World Title. But I don't know if they would allow Okada to be pinned on a show like this. Someone that they do allow to be pinned on a show like this, however, is Tanahashi. I think Hiroshi Tanahashi and MJF would be a great match, and definitely a match that MJF could win. So that would probably be my guess.
I agree, and that's like ultimate kind of baby face versus heel matchup they can give us at Forbidden Door. Ospreay is obviously facing Kenny Omega. He's in the finals of the IWGP US Championship Tournament. It's going to be in Kenny's home country. It sets up perfectly for the third match to be in Will Ospreay's country of the UK. It just makes all the sense of the world. I do agree the promos between Ospreay and MJF would be great, but I think you're wishing for something that definitely won't happen. And as far as Okada, I don't think his character right now would fit in with that, because Okada is the surly, angry old man heel in his mid-30s. He's the old fraternity president who now lives next door to the fraternity and is telling all the kids to get off his lawn. So he likes to verse the younger baby faces, not the younger heels. I think that's why his character works more. If he faces Jon Moxley, who's like, stop picking on my kid from the fraternity, then that makes more sense to me.
I just don't. Oh, sorry. I just don't see New Japan agreeing to that for Okada to get pinned by MJF. Right now I don't see that happening, even if Okada was a babyface.
I think Tanahashi is the perfect choice because of the way MJF is talking about New Japan. Who you need someone that is the face of New Japan, and who better than Tanahashi? And by the way, MJF was spectacular in that media scrum presser. He is so much fun. Like, I know some people are tired of MJF as champion. Some people are blaming the ratings for on MJF as champion. He's my favorite AEW World Champion ever, easily. This is so much fun. I love this.
Hey, he's 2 for 2 on pay-per-view 5-star matches. Danielson and this one, 5 stars to most of us here. So, yeah, I mean, how can you argue? And I do agree with Safet as well that Omega Ospreay too, that's going to be epic. And I would love for Callis to now back Ospreay in that matchup. That would be a nice little wrinkle as well. And speaking of Don Callis, speaking of Kenny Omega, let's talk about the main event. Anarchy in the Arena, the Elite, Hangman Adam Page, Kenny Omega, and the Young Bucks versus the Blackpool Combat Clubs, Jon Moxley, Wheeler Yuta, Claudio Castagnoli, and Bryan Danielson. Okay, the only nitpick I have for this entire match is, what the fuck is this? You got multiple people backstage who are African American. Why did nobody say, I think this is not a good idea? Maybe you shouldn't wear the mask. Maybe if you want to wear a black mask, you should make it a Batman mask, because I was just like, what the hell am I watching when this guy came out? I was like, okay, I understand he's probably performing Wild Thing, but I literally thought it was blackface until they zoomed in and I realized it was a mask, but it still is not a good look at all. And the Young Bucks is for the culture. We'll get to that. But this brought out the Blackpool Combat Club as the I forget the
Blackface Combat Club.
The militia Blackpool Combat Club came out through the crowd, and this led to the brawl breaking out in the crowd. And this was very much Anarchy in the Arena. The band just kept playing Wild Thing, and the fans were going absolutely wild. Don Callis joined the commentary team as Hangman was fighting with Bryan Danielson. You had Claudio fighting it out with Matt Jackson. Omega's fighting out with Moxley. You had Nick Jackson fighting it with Wheeler. So it was just all over the place. Moxley choking up Omega. They get to ringside where Claudio just picks up Rick Knox, who was already bleeding. I don't even know how that shit happened. You had Hangman fighting it in the ring with Bryan Danielson. He rips off the eye patch to reveal that he is completely fine, and he tosses it to Danielson and says, "You're gonna need it," as he pulls a screwdriver out of his pocket. The Wheeler Yuta comes in to break that up. All 8 men are fighting it out in the ring. Then we get a great stereo Terminator topes from all of the Elite as the brawl continues to go up. The Young Bucks fight up the ramp with Claudio and Wheeler, where they finally do it for the culture and end the Wild Thing performance by kicking blackface in his face. That was great. Love you, Young Bucks. We appreciate you. You always been for the culture. Just look at your sneaker collection. Then we get Matt Jackson with Northern Lights going down the ramp. Omega and Moxley fight over to the stage where Moxley reveals a poker chip, barbed wire. This is a callback to two things. It's a callback to the poker chip dive that he did on Omega at the first Double or Nothing, as well as the barbed wire web from their Lights Out match at Full Gear 2019. We get the split screen where we see Omega and Omega and Moxley still fighting out as Claudio's fighting it out with Matt Jackson in the corridor. We get a swing in the corridor where Claudio tosses Matt Jackson to a garbage pail. They fight to the outside where they fight on a pickup truck, and Claudio delivers a power driver in the back of the pickup truck. This shit is just outrageous. This lived up to the Anarchy in the Arena kind of tagline. We get Moxley busted all open. We get Hangman is busted open. It's just absolute carnage going everywhere. The Blackpool Combat Club get them back into the ring where they're doing stereo elbows with three-way elbows to the Elite. We get Moxley and Wheeler putting on a submission on Nick Jackson. It looks like he's about to submit as Omega and Hangman are fighting are out on the outside. And then Matt Jackson, trying to do his best Eddie Kingston impersonation, gets back into the fold, but he comes back not bloody. He comes back with a fucking firecracker in his shoe. That exploding super kick was one of the craziest things I think they've ever done in AEW. I was like, how did he do it, first of all? And how did he pull that off? But this leads to greatness from the BCC, who just decide, nope, we're not gonna have none of that. They toss the sneaker into the crowd. They take off his socks. Moxley pulls out thumbtacks and drops his foot into the thumbtacks. This dude has millions of thumbtacks in his heel. It's ridiculous. You get Kenny Omega, who has on the Steve Rogers tights. He brings out a shield and he's going wild on the Elite until Claudio stops the shield, and then they're fighting it out. It leaves Omega and Hangman in the ring together, being Bush Cassidy and the Sundance Kid, deciding to fight it out together, be the tag team that they once were, fighting the Blackpool Combat Club on their own. Omega finally has Wheeler dead to rights. He hits the V trigger on him, has him up for the One Ring Angel when Don Callis gets involved. But Omega realizes Callis is behind him. He stops, but before he can get his hands on Callis, it's Konosuke Takeshita. It's a big kick to the head of Kenny Omega. Wheeler Yuta then stabs Kenny Omega in the head with a screwdriver. Seatbelt pin. 1, 2, 3. The Blackpool Combat Club, thanks to Konosuke Takeshita and Don Callis, win Anarchy in the Arena 2. We get the scene of everyone celebrating as Wheeler Yuta has picked up the biggest win of his career, once again proving the Blackpool Combat Club improves their young wrestlers' lives, and that's a reason why Konosuke Takeshita seemingly seems like he's joining them, or at least siding with them here, because they do better for the young wrestlers, with Wheeler Yuta picking up his big win. And we get the big celebration as Danielson points to Konosuke Takeshita, and Don Callis chokes up Kenny Omega with a belt as Kenny is knocked out and alone to end the show. This right here, it lived up to the Anarchy in the Ring tagline. I thought I had just as much fun as I did last year, and that's why I'm giving my second 5-star rating. I absolutely love this. This had so many spots I'm going to remember from this show. Lived up to everything. The build-up was great, and this paid it off perfectly. Tempest, what did you think about Anarchy in the Arena 2?
I wasn't quite as hot on it as a lot of other people have been. I've seen, first of all, and I don't know if this happened between last year's Anarchy in the Arena and this year's, but I'm pretty sure that AEW's director has left the company at some point, and there's like a change in personnel behind the scenes in terms of camera work and stuff. Because there's a lot of examples in this match where it's just like, oh, they're setting something up, and then he swings the chair, and then they cut to something else, and then they cut back, and the thing has happened already. There were a lot of examples in this match of just the frenetic camera cutting really not playing to its strengths here. So that was one thing that kind of dinged this match for me. Otherwise, I thought that the emotional beats of this match were fantastic. I love the Kenny Omega and Hangman Page like slow reunion of them finally actually trusting each other. Them singing the song, singing Carry On My Wayward Son at each other during the entrance. Like the Young Bucks are doing their entrance, they're doing all their poses, and meanwhile Kenny Omega and Hangman are just locking eyes and just singing the song to each other. Fantastic stuff. I love this kind of melodramatic stuff. I guess the way that they want it, but I hate the thumbtacks in the foot spot. Like it works, but I hate it in that like you couldn't pay me enough kind of way. That is like my least favorite hardcore spot. But otherwise than that, like I like the Takeshita turn. I think a lot of people saw it coming, and rightfully so. That kind of like predictability, but in a good way because it makes sense and it works. I don't know whether he's going to be a member of the Blackpool Combat Club or not, but I think, and I'm not going to blame the show for me being disappointed. But had this show ended with like Ibushi coming out and saving Kenny Omega, I think it really would have taken the whole match, the whole show, just like an extra full grade point up. And that's not on them. You know, that's just me wanting something and not getting it. It wasn't promised to me or anything like that. But that was what was going through my mind at the time. And I don't know if personally I wouldn't have enjoyed this this show a little bit more had they swapped this and the Four Pillars match in terms of what main evented. That's just my opinion. Maybe people disagree. But this match I thought was, again, fun. Loved the firecracker shoe. The exploding shoe can go in the Hall of Fame right next to the thumbtack shoe. And this was a very fun match, and ultimately Wheeler Yuta gets to say that he pinned Kenny Omega in a pay-per-view main event, so you get a little bit extra out of it for having made that decision as well.
Absolutely, and it sets up a natural Omega Wheeler Yuta matchup, probably on an episode of Dynamite as well. I do agree with you. If this would have been in the middle of the show, I think the whole show would have been for the better. Because if you have this earlier on, it saves the dull point that a lot of people didn't enjoy, that middle section from like the opener to Statlander's return. It would have helped out a lot having that match earlier on in the show. I do agree with that. Romeo, what did you think about Anarchy in the Arena 2?
It was anarchy. That's for sure. No false advertising there. I agree with Tempest's take about the directing and the missed camera shots. Just have more split screens. You know, don't be. I'm not going to be annoyed if there's actually 3 screens on the screen. It's fine. I'd rather see everything than miss something. The exploding super kick looked cool. The foot on the thumbtacks looked cool. The Captain Omega stuff was fun. That looked cool, even with a garbage can shield. To me, Danielson felt kind of laid back. Did you feel like there was a conservative Danielson just to sort of still keep him in bubble wrap for the blood and guts?
Because he got injured in last year's Anarchy in the Arena. So I was fine with how they used him here. This was like kind of the right way to protect him in this match and not have as many risks as he took last year.
Yeah.
I thought it was very funny that like he hits the 2 psycho knees, and like I turned to Adam at that point in the match and I just went, oh yeah, the best wrestler in the world is just in this match, and we kind of forgot.
Did you catch the Hangman missing the breaking up a pin very late? That looked bad. Yeah.
I think it was like a German or something, a German suplex at one point, something like that. Yeah.
I love the Omega and Page moment where they just went back into their old tag team habits, and that was fun. They hadn't missed a beat. The ending's not surprising to me here. Did anyone see Callis's interview with JR that they put on their social medias?
Yeah.
But should have been on Dynamite. It was so good. And he was planting the seeds of what was going to happen. I think for some reason I was expecting more blood, but I understand they're holding back because they got a blood and guts match. You need more blood and guts for that. I was expecting Brian and Yuta to bleed real heavy, but Yuta's got his coming to him considering the ending of this match. I thought this was a good chapter of what's leading to blood and guts. Plenty of heel heat on BCC, and whenever that we're figuring this Ibushi moment is going to happen. You got to be patient, Tempest. You can't have this all in one night. You got to spread out the floor. Spread. You're gonna blow your load like Tony Khan. You gotta spread it out.
I need it. I need it now. I don't want to wait.
A great last two matches on the show. A little deflating though if you're rooting for baby faces.
Screw those baby faces. Come on. We're all about the heels here. Josh.
By the way, did the announce table ever break?
No, surprisingly, no. They didn't do
all
the
energy?
cliche thing. They didn't do the cliche thing of breaking the announce table. Josh, what did you think about Anarchy? Go ahead.
I thought for sure they were going to. Like I was sitting there and it was such a cognitive dissonance thing, having the table at ringside as opposed to on the stage. I was like, there has to be a reason for this. They got to break this in some very specific spot. And then they never did. And I was like, all right, cool. Just changing things up, I guess.
Oh, and I'll give it 4 3/4 stars. I can't give it 5. 1 because of blackface, and 2 because of Wheeler Yuta getting the pin.
I don't blame you for giving it a negative quarter. I am sorry. I had to address that early on because I was just so disturbed by that. I was like, what are we doing? What are we doing? This would have been perfectly fine. What are we doing? Josh, what did you think about Anarchy in the Arena too?
It was great. I think they advertised it well. Everybody delivered. I was seeing some comments in the chat. I necessarily don't agree with like all the music was playing too long because same thing happened the first time around. So it's like it's gonna be a trend, and I think that's something that we probably gonna have to get used to when it comes to a match like this. It was a nice touch to it because everyone just kept going batshit crazy during the match in the beginning. So you kind of needed that. You kind of need that chaos for it to start. That's how you promote that match. But besides that, I like the heel turn towards the end. I like the Matt Jackson spot with the super kick because that shit was so random. I didn't expect that to happen at all. But yeah, I mean, the match overall was great. I thought it did its job. It continues their story. With possibly Ibushi showing up, I'm kind of okay with them waiting. I kind of understand why some people would have wanted it because it kind of would have saved maybe the pay-per-views for a lot of people. So I get that aspect, but I'm also okay with them waiting for that to happen.
And you would have naturally had the people that said, why he come out so late? Why he ain't come out when, like they did with they always do that. So if Ibushi would have came out, it would have been like, well, why you ain't come out earlier to help your friends? So I understand why they saved it here. And Safet, I watched that show this morning. You are absolutely bugging. There was nothing on that show as good as these last two matches. So regardless of how you felt about the rest of the show, the peaks of Double or Nothing made this better than Battleground. Battleground, I could have missed it because I predicted every single matchup correctly. Ness, what did you think about AEW Double or Nothing?
Excuse me. I give it 4.5. Actually, no, I give it 4 3/4 stars. Yeah, again, Anarchy. That's exactly what the hell it was. Me personally, I'm not too. I agree with you guys as far as the camera cuts and the production, but I'm not going to go too, harp on it too much. I expect shit like that out of matches like this. Another clusterfuck. Especially, it would have been nice to have like 4 separate cameras and wherever everybody's at, they could just, get a focus on them. But I figured like it was going to be this, something's happened over here, something's happened over there. For example, like when Kenny Omega and John Moxley, they're about to. Well, Moxley's on Kenny's back, and like, all right, he's about to fall back on the barbed wire on the chip, but they cut something else, and then you hear the crowd, oh, and I'm like, oh shit. But luckily, they showed the replay, which is I'll give them props for that because I didn't have a lot of faith in them showing the replay for that, but it was just crazy, man. It was so much going on. So much blood, so much just craziness. That spot with the super kick with an exploding super kick, that shit was gnarly. Did you see the shoe after the fact? Because he posted it on Instagram.
Yeah.
That thing was burnt. Like, so it's like they weren't fucking around. Like, no, what was it? Revolution? The sparklers and shit. Like, no, it wasn't nothing of that.
No.
Like, no, this was better than that sparkle and that explosion. The Takeshita thing, that was good. I actually thought that I had seen the one camera guy earlier in the night that was wearing the all black. I thought that was him until they showed him again that he was still out there with the camera. So I'm like, oh, was he out there that whole time doing this? But
that would have been crazy.
Yeah, I'm like, but it wasn't him. So I'm like, oh, all right, well, that makes sense. But yeah, if this leads to Kota Ibushi being the savior, I can't wait to see that match. If we do get it, Kota Ibushi versus Konosuke Takeshita, I think that would be fucking marvelous as well. I had the Elite winning, but I totally forgot about that sneaky bastard Don Callis and all the other underhanded things that he has up his sleeve. So having Takeshita come in, be the fifth guy on the team for the Blackpool Combat Club, it just makes sense. Once again, I gotta agree. Shout out to the Young Bucks for kicking Blackface in the face. Yeah, overall, I can't say anything negative about the main event. The last two matches really, I feel like, brought the crowd back into the show fully. Like, there were better matches and everything progressing up towards those guys, and the two double main events. But once they got there, it hit on all cylinders, and then everybody was just back into the fold as far as being entertained.
Yeah, I really feel like the final two matches saved the show for me, where it was just good. It wasn't what we usually expect from AEW,
Right.
which is always great, knock it out the park type of show. But the last two matches definitely were at that level of what we usually expect from AEW, like Romeo was saying earlier. But that brings us to the close here. Of course, in the live chat, let us know your match of the night, MVP, LVP, thumbs up, thumbs down, thumbs in the middle, and out of 10, what did you give the show? We'll start off with our thumbs in the middle, everyone, for AEW Double or Nothing 2023. Thumbs up, thumbs down, thumbs in the middle in 3, 2, 1. Thumbs up for 4 of us, thumbs in the middle for Romeo. I'm glad Romeo. I know, I'm glad Romeo has come around that much. He's not as cranky as he was last night when everybody was trying to give it a thumbs down. When you have someone negative like Top Guy JJ, I'm not surprised. He influences a lot of people with his negativity.
I never gave my rating last night. I was just shocked. I was like, wow.
Yeah, I didn't give mine. I didn't give mine either, and to add to SP3's point, that's kind of the reason why I didn't even give it last night, because he was not happy with the show. Top Guy was not happy with the show. I just don't think it was as terrible as he was projecting it to be. I get AEW has higher standards, which I agree with. Reason I give it I gave it a thumbs up because for me, it was maybe about 6.5 for me. That's technically passing. That's technically passing. So I understand like the whole aspect of them having higher standards. I still don't think it was their worst pay-per-view. I still think All Out was the one that they did
2020. Yeah.
Yes, that was their worst. In my opinion, that's still their worst pay-per-view. It's just that last night, maybe there was things that we expected it to be better, and some of the stuff just didn't hit right. I just don't think it was as terrible as not only in the stream, but also in the live chat that people were upset. At the same time, you had people saying, "Oh, I'm done with the show," but then they're like, "Oh, I hope this match gets 30 minutes." You just said you were done with the show, so why do you even care how long this match goes then? So that's how it was last night, but that's basically where I stand at with the show.
Fickle people. So you give it 6.5. Tempest, out of 10, what did you give the show?
I gave the show like a 7. I thought it was solid, good show, some like really, really fucking good matches on there. Not a ton of them, But like I like the tag title match more than most. It sounded like I really enjoyed the trios match. So there were like even still a few matches in the middle of the show that to me were very fun. I like Chris Statlander being back. It's just like the lows on this show were quite low to the point that it's not really what you expect on an AEW pay-per-view in terms of like their standard of quality that they have set for themselves. And that's fair enough. But I think overall, when I look back at this show, there will be enough that I can point at and just be like, oh yeah, there was a fun battle royal. There was a fun tag title match. There was a fun trios match. There was a great 4-way. They had Anarchy in the Arena and a turn and a return from Statlander. So there's enough that I can look at there and just be like, okay, yeah, maybe an AEW 7 out of 10 is weighted differently than like, a WWE 7 out of 10 or something like that. But if I'm trying to judge it on like, the most, I don't know, kind of balanced scale, I think this is about a 7 out of 10 show.
I totally agree with you. Like a AEW 7 out of 10 is like an 8.5 for WWE. So, but we're graded it on what AEW usually gives us. So I agree. I gave it a 7 out of 10 as well. Romeo?
5 even. I think I'm being very fair with that. So I was very disappointed the first 3 hours. The last 2 matches save it from being a complete disaster. By definition, to me, it is one of the worst AEW pay-per-views of all time. One of.
It's bottom half. It's not the worst.
Yeah. One of.
Yeah.
Because it's just such a high standard. This is all elite wrestling. And we enjoy these pay-per-views. We give them very high scores. This is towards the bottom. But those top 2 matches, is it worth $50 for the whole thing? And you get those 2 matches? I don't know.
Well, I mean, like I said last night, I didn't mind paying.
I got $50.
Yeah. Me last night, like I said, I didn't mind paying. I mean, I'm not broke like some people that I know, Christian. So I'm okay with it.
We've been spoiled the last 10 years getting all the WWE shows for like $10 a month and stuff like that. Like getting that 4-way match. I got $50 of entertainment out of that 4-way match alone, I think.
Yeah, like I said, like you, I kind of liked like 5, at least like 5 or 6 out of the 10 matches. 9 matches if you just include the main card. So yeah, that's $50 worth in my opinion. So, and especially with those 2 final matches, like those will probably be in my like AEW matches of the year at the end of the year probably. But Ness, what did you give it out of 10?
I also gave it a 7. From the opener. Definitely the last, the double main event. And I'll throw Jade and Ty in there as well. I think those are the matches for me personally that stood out the most on the card, especially for the Jade and Ty match. And I wasn't expecting that much out of it. But overall, like it was a solid show. And I got to agree, piggyback what everybody's saying, a 7 in AEW. Or, we do got to grade things differently because we know what we're dealing with. When we watch AEW pay-per-view, we have our standards set for that. When we watch WWE pay-per-views, the PLEs, are 9 times out of 10 when you're on stream with us, our standards are extremely fucking low. So we know we're dealing with there compared to like again a New Japan. We know what we're going to get out of that. So saying that this is a 7 for these guys, but it's something else elsewhere. I think that's a very fair argument.
Yeah. And match of the night, Romeo. Let's start with you.
The 4 pillars.
Ness?
I second that. 4 pillars.
Tempest?
Oh, you should have come to me 4th. I wanted to be the 4th person to say the 4 pillars match, but I agree.
Josh?
4 pillars.
I'm gonna make it unanimous. Yeah, I'll give that the edge because we're going over all the different spots, and I watched it just before we went live here again. Yeah, I'll go with 4 pillars, just edging out Anarchy in the Arena. MVP for the show, Josh.
MVP. I'll go with the BCC. MJF, and Chris Statlander.
Tempest.
I'd probably there's a few contenders on here for sure, but I think I'm gonna have to go with MJF just because he was a featured performer in the best match of the night. The AEW World Champion walks in, walks out with the belt, got a good entrance, presented well. I think he did everything right on this show, and a good presser afterwards as well.
Yeah, absolutely.
All around.
Ness.
I had multiple. Orange Cassidy, he was in a battle royal, outlasted 20 other people or however many other people it was. Chris Statlander, hope she gets to have a successful title reign. Definitely the Young Bucks for that double super kick. And MJF.
Romeo.
MJF for sure. Blackpool Combat Club. Statlander, kayfabe wise, even though I hate the booking. And an honorable mention to WWE NXT, who trended number 2. Shocked. They got up there. And you know what? They're 3 hours against Double or Nothing's first 3 hours. It was closer than you think. It was close.
No, it was. Shocking. They had some good stuff. On there. Dijak and Ilya Dragunov, I would say it would be in my top 10 for this weekend with all the wrestling that went down this weekend. That was a great matchup.
I gotta give them credit because I thought it was gonna be a blowout. I thought they were gonna get squashed, but they did it.
Hey, they got to number 2. Give them credit. MVP for me, I'm gonna go with Konosuke Takeshita. It was maybe predictable to some, but I like when something makes sense. It can be predictable if it makes sense. I loved it, and I think it worked out perfectly. And once again, Don Callis getting the better of Kenny Omega. I'm all for that. So Konosuke Takeshita is my MVP. LVP for the show. Unfortunately, I have to give a co-LVP on this one to Adam Cole and Chris Jericho. I don't know who deserves more blame. I'm just going to give it to the both of them because they had by far the worst match, in my opinion, on the show. Romeo?
I've got a lot. Jay White. Ugh. Keith Lee. Ugh. Jericho. Cole. Britt. Sheeta. Hayter. Jade.
Okay. Oh,
this guy's outrageous.
Wait a minute. Wait. So, nothing. I'm gonna keep my comments. I'm gonna be nice right now.
You disagree with something?
Oh no, I do. I'm just gonna be nice. I'm gonna be a nice guy for once.
Sterling, the Blackface Combat Club. And number 1 with a gold star next to him, Tony Khan.
I got to give another co-LVP. Cole, Jericho, and the Blackface singer. Yeah, that's right. I have to say that. Ness, who's your LVP?
Yeah, definitely the Blackface singer, of course. If I had to give the Young Bucks the MVP, he's getting the LVP. LVPs. And dumbass Mark Sterling.
That's fair. Tempest?
I think you guys have got pretty much all the ones I was going to say, so I'll throw out another one that hasn't been said yet. I'm going to give my LVP to Sabu. What was the fucking point?
Yeah.
That's a good one.
That's a good one as well. Josh?
Cole, Jericho, and Sterling. Those are my 3.
Those are very, very, very fair. And I did think there was a question in here I wanted to ask y'all very quickly to close things off. Should Double or Nothing move out of Las Vegas? Because I know there's been debate about the crowd here. I would just say outside of the pandemic, this was the worst AEW pay-per-view crowd that I heard. They just weren't that vocal into the things. Like I understand not a lot of stuff, and I will give them credit that Cole and Jericho probably killed them, But I've heard other AEW crowds be into stuff that is not as interesting as this, like Jericho and Starks at Revolution. They were vocal for that, and that elevated that matchup, and they elevated everything throughout that night at Revolution, making that one of the shows of the year. This crowd just wasn't up to snuff, and it just felt like the Las Vegas crowd was tired. Tempest, what do you think?
I do kind of agree with this. Like, I think it's really tough when AEW is only going to run like 4 pay-per-views that are just theirs. Of course, you've got Forbidden Door, and I guess, All In, I don't think they're going to do like a yearly major stadium show or anything like that. So you got more big shows this year than we have in the past. But when 4 pay-per-views get limited down to 2 of them being in set locations every single year, where one's in Vegas and one's in Chicago, I think you need to eliminate one of those 2. And if I had to pick one, I think I'm moving Double or Nothing out of Vegas and just giving it to markets that haven't had one. Like, give the LA market more shows, put more of these shows in like Texas, because God, the Texas crowds are always hot. There's a lot of markets that could do very well for AEW on pay-per-view. And normally I shout out Toronto for that, but God damn it, I'm not going to be home for Forbidden Door, and I'm furious about it. But my point stands. A lot of cities could really use some of these pay-per-views, and it just freshened things up. I don't know if people are looking to go to the exact same city every single year if they're going to travel for a pay-per-view. Like, they want to, like, I know Vegas is a party city and it's like, it's fun and stuff, but you want to kind of go and experience new places. Like, put one of these in New Orleans, put one of these in various other cities that, like, do one in fucking Nashville or something like that, like big cities that could attract more like tourism and stuff. That's just my opinion.
And they had to paper a lot of these seats, apparently. They had to give like combos and comps to even get to. They did a good number at the end, like over 10,000, but it just the crowd didn't seem like, it seemed more like a WWE crowd than anything. Josh, do you have any comments?
Yeah, I would say to take them out for now, just because, like you said, when you get too comfortable being in one spot, that usually happens. And also Vegas, I mean, it's a tourist attraction, so it's not like it's a very hit and miss. There might be times out of the year that you're gonna get a good crowd. There might be times you might not. It depends on what you get during that weekend. But I do agree. Bring it to markets that would not only make money, but that makes sense. Just don't bring it anywhere. You got to bring it to a market that's, you definitely know you're gonna make bank. And I get like the whole, everyone's saying New Jersey. I mean, New Jersey already they had full gear already.
Full gear last year, yeah.
Yeah. I would be open
like grand slams in New York every year.
Yeah. So you get So usually grand slam. Even with that, because even if you bring it to New York, are you gonna put it in Arthur Ashe like a pay-per-view? I don't know. Just because you already do Grand Slam there. So it was like, even with that, it's gonna be kind of the same territory when it comes to going back to the same spots. But yeah, I do agree that they should find a way to because I get it. I get the whole theme of it, Double or Nothing, I get it. At the same time, there are other places that have casinos, so it's not like, I mean, you could do it. You could do it. Spots that have it. So, I mean, Vegas is not the only spot you could do it at.
Ness?
Yeah, you guys pretty much said everything. I agree. I seen a lot of people in the comments saying Atlantic City. I live in the suburbs of New Jersey. I'm like 45 minutes from Atlantic City. I might be wrong. I don't think they have a stadium out there or anywhere like remotely close.
Where?
To in New Jersey.
Atlantic City.
They do. Excuse me. Atlantic City's a dump. You don't want to go there for a wrestling event.
No, it is, and it's more of an indie.
It is. I mean, I know,
and it's more of an indie. It's more of an independent wrestling area more than
that's like if you want to go to GCW something like that, then go to Atlantic City. But if you want to go out there and be safe, Yeah, you don't want to go there for that. But yeah, it's I like what you guys were saying, as far as find other markets that if you want to keep this same theme going with the whole casino thing and that whole aspect of it, then sure, do that. But if you're just set on having it being in Las Vegas, because like I don't think any casino or any casino themed tourist attractions in the country, nothing's bigger than Las Vegas. So if you can find another market or go somewhere else and don't mind coming out of the whole casino themed aspect of Double or Nothing, then great. Yeah, like because like you're saying, New Orleans, that would be great. Like that's a great market for that, and other places all over the country. So Tony wants to do, we know that he doesn't have the best.
And then also, it's also great because say for example, if Romeo ever goes to a pay-per-view in New Orleans, he just leaves before the main event.
An inside joke, Tempest.
Romeo, you haven't. I know you weren't as down on the crowd as I was, and most other people were.
No, because normally I'm all about fuck the fans. Really, it's normally my go-to thing. But the product that was put in front of him, I agree. I wouldn't have been going crazy either the first 3 hours. It's as simple as that. And Tony Khan, he likes Las Vegas. It's the fight capital of the world to him, and he likes being mentioned in the same breath as like UFC and all that stuff. So he's gonna want to stay in Las Vegas. I think people were mentioning Jersey just because of the gambling association, but yeah, you want to go to New Jersey for a weekend, or you want to go to Las Vegas. The choice is clear. This was built up as a 2-match card, really, when you think about it. And AEW pay-per-views, where do you want to go going forward? Do you want to go to this, or do you want to go to All Out? Do you want to go overseas, All In? Do you want to go to Forbidden Door 2, which would probably be a banger? You probably want to save your money for that kind of stuff. I don't know.
Yeah, that's fair. That's also true. And it's very expensive in Las Vegas as well. But that brings us to a close on our roundtable review. Gotta thank our special guest, Tempest. Tempest, we need to make this a yearly tradition where you join us for Double or Nothing. If you're able to join us for more any of the WWE AEW shows, we always appreciate having you on. I think earlier in the chat, I think it was Annika who said you're a top 5 True Hill Heat guest. So we're very lucky to always have you, and we appreciate you. Please let the people know where they can follow you on social media, see all your great work for WrestleTalk, Parts Unknown. Let the people know. The spotlight's yours.
Well, I appreciate it very much. It's always a pleasure to be here on True Heel Heat. Yes, I can be found on all of the WrestleTalk and WrestleTalk associated channels, that being WrestleTalk, WrestleTalk Podcast, and Parts Unknown, the channel that I run, where you can see great shows like Survival Series that I am very proud of. You can follow me on Twitter at TempestWT, on Instagram at Tempest Likes Wrestling, and potentially also on Twitch. Might have some things coming that way soon. Tempest Likes Wrestling on Twitch as well. Give me some follows there. Give us some love over at WrestleTalk, because we always appreciate it.
Yes, one of my favorites. Always love hearing your opinions and love the content Survival Series. Next time I'm in the UK, I'm gonna make sure you're at the office, because I went there when you were in the UK, when you were back in Canada. But I'm gonna make sure you're there, and I'm gonna ask you, please let me be a part of Survival Series. I want to school these
brother.
I got a question
we'll
for
make it
Tempest,
happen.
though. I got a question for Tempest, though. Did he do his homework? Does he know who Tiffany Stratton is now?
Tiffany Stratton, you mean NXT Women's Champion Tiffany Stratton?
Yes. There you go. Proud of you.
Tiffany Stratton, one of my favorites. I love her. Romeo, thank you as always you've been on both reviews. You've been on all the watch-alongs. Let the people know where they could follow you, good sir.
Just put it in my paycheck, SB3. You can follow me for Romeo Anthony. Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, and right here on the True Hill Heat Wrestling channel, like tonight, maybe. I'm not sure if I'll be there. Rated Raw Superstars 100. Watching Raw, watching Game 7, and watch-alongs all week. Tuesday, Wednesday. You guys in the chat gave Double or Nothing 47% gave it a 7 to 8. 11% gave it a 9 to 10. 26% gave it a 6. 16% gave it a 0 to 5.
Okay, so 7 to 8 was the range, and that's pretty much what we have. We had most of us at 7, 6.5 for Josh. Romeo brought the average down, of course. Josh, let the people know where they can follow you, sir.
You can follow me at jampunk321 Twitter and Instagram. I'll be on tonight as well for Rated Raw Superstars episode 100. Of course, I got to be there. Because I show up to work unlike Ness and sober guy. So I'll be on tonight.
My show.
Shouting them out. Ness, let the people know where they can follow you and when they'll see you here again.
You guys can follow me on Twitter, Instagram, skinny__Kravitz. I might. I'm not making any promises. I might be on tonight for Rated Raw Superstars /
AKA I'm not.
I didn't say that. I might. Look, you got a better chance of me showing up than drunk guys. So that's
not saying much. That's not saying much.
Every Tuesday, myself, Chris G, Romeo, we go live for NX3 watching NXT over at twitch.tv/True Hill Heat Gaming every Thursday. Myself, Chris G, we go live watching Glen Impact. Game 7's this. I'm sorry, not Game 7. Game 1 of the finals is this Thursday, right? That's when it starts.
Yes.
I think that we're not going to double book ourselves. If that's all right with you, boss, to take that night off, because I will be on for the Game 1 of the finals if we're doing a watch along for that, which I believe we already are.
Yes,
I don't know.
Probably are. You can go over and subscribe to True Hill Heat Sports. If we're close to 400 subscribers over there, so always appreciate the love on that channel. You can follow me on the Twitter machine at True Hill SP3. Follow the gang, Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram at True Hill Heat. And check out our other review from this weekend, our WWE Night of Champions Roundtable review from yesterday with me, Romeo, and Miss Chrissy Love. We got coming up this week our NJPW Best of Super Juniors review, breaking down the tournament and the finals and how Master Wato found his way to the Grand Master. And check out our main show, our flagship show, the True Hill Heat flagship podcast, every Saturday at 11:05 a.m. Eastern Time. This week's episode with Richard Benson of Post Wrestling. So check out that on the channel right now. For our special guest Tempest, for Ness, for Josh, for Romeo, it is me, your True Hill Phenom SP3. This has been our AEW Double or Nothing 2023 Roundtable Review. We are signing off until next time.